Hello? Okay, try that.
Can you hear me? Let us know if you can hear me.
He says there it goes. Audio check, all good.
All
okay,
right.
Good.
Hi, I'm Danny Nightmare.
I'm Gory B Movie.
And we're Horror Addicts. And now, if you were following us on Gory B Movies channel, we were kind of complaining about what was the worst of 2023 so far, or for us. But now, we're going to talk about the best of 2023. And if you hadn't checked out Gory's the channel video, make sure you can go back and do that. But right now, we're gonna start saying some nice things about some movies. So
this is where I like to be. I'd rather love something that everybody hates than hate something that everybody loves.
Yeah, so crack open a new beer. I got a, what's this here? Dark Sun, given to me by the Nuns. Retro Media Man, Killer Kayla's husband.
This is water. It's nature's soda.
Yeah.
I also have some
Mimosas.
Strange Beast Mimosa.
Ooh,
Yeah, because I like to mix it up. Sometimes I feel like a nut. Sometimes I don't.
Right? Alright, so we're going to kind of start with our, like, three...
Hello?
Hello?
Should be good.
Can you hear us? Alright. There it goes. Alright. Well,
Sorry, babe.
we'll start back from the beginning. I don't know what you missed. What's
What's
that?
up?
Rising Sun, Haunted by Horror,
We
Brandon
look forward to
Avalon,
that
Torch
every
Bearer,
time.
Fairpoint Station. Thank you all for being here. Pinhead 198. Thank you for being here. Let's say some
like
good
your
stuff.
shirt, by the way.
Oh yeah. That's a pretty cool shirt. It's a pretty cool channel. You should check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm even on that channel.
What? The channel ain't fancy enough for you.
Oh, of course it is. Anyways, we're gonna start here with Unwelcome. A couple moved from the city to more of a rural part of town, but they get this nice house. It's not completely finished. It's being worked on, and they can live there. But they're told that they need to put like little pieces of meat and other offerings for the gnomes or the creatures that
I
live in
would,
the
because
back.
I saw that David the Gnome show back in the day.
I love
and
David
that
the
shit
Gnome.
creeped me out.
And this fox named Swift, it was so cool. It's a great show. But yeah, they're like, oh, okay, we'll do that, sure, whatever. And then like, do it. And then they don't do it. They should have done it. Because it pisses off the little creatures and all that. But everybody in this movie is like an asshole, except for the main girl. Like, her husband sucks. But they had to leave the city because they were horrifically attacked by people who suck. The people working on their house are awful. Like, I would have fired them immediately. And yeah, I don't know. There's like nobody really to root for. I'm always kind of confused of the creatures, because the creatures themselves are kind of bad, but they're also kind of good. It's weird. It's a little confusing.
I mean, as somebody who's Wiccan, we kind of view, we call gnomes elementals, because they are elemental of the element of earth. Just like salamanders would be like water and stuff, you know? And so you view them as like nature. They're neither good nor evil, but they deserve to be respected.
Yeah.
And I think that movie did that.
Yeah, but then she decides not to quite respect them anyways and go overthrow their like whole system. So it's a weird mixed message. Like, the movie's a little everywhere.
I give this movie 3 stars as well. And again, like we did on my channel, we're going to be counting down to, you know, the big ones. So we're going to start with our 3 stars. We're going to work our way up to our 5 stars. We might have some differences of opinion here and there, but, you know, roughly we'll let you know when there's a deviation. Anyway, for me, I really liked this. This had some interesting character development. I do tend to like a lot of mommy horror. You know, our main character's pregnant here. Her husband's kind of a doofus, but, you know, relatable, right?
Yeah, he's kind of, well, he's
just kidding. My husband's
he's
not
useless. I didn't
But,
like the character.
Yeah, you know, I am somebody who believes in that. Like, you know, if someone told me you got to leave out offerings for the gnomes, there would be offerings for the gnomes every single day. Because I just don't screw around with stuff like that. I don't use Ouija boards. I'm a very superstitious, very spiritual person. So I kind of feel like they kind of got what they deserve. But I do like that this movie has some interesting twists and turns in it. You have some really scary human characters. And the couple, I think, even though they're kind of doofy in places, you are hoping that it's going to work out. And it has some interesting turns that I liked.
Yeah. It was overall positive. I would say see it. Like, not a strong see it, but definitely see it. You fell down the stairs, Rising Sun? Hard to hear that. Gory is, like, she is afraid of escalators. Like,
because I, like you, I'm always falling down stairs. I fell down regular stairs. And you're going to make them move? What the hell? Are you trying to kill me? I can trip over just regular flat pavement. I don't need stairs moving.
Well, you do hope you're okay. And thanks, you know, like, for watching regardless. Hope you heal up, though. So, yeah. Anyways, that's kind of all I have to say
Also, you should
about
have
this.
fed your gnomes.
Yeah, maybe the gnomes tripped you. Feed those things. There's actually another movie that came out this year as well.
We should talk about that next.
I feel like did it just a little bit better than this one. Like, this one wasn't bad. I do recommend it, but
This is an interesting movie because I feel like the poster, the reason why it was only 3 stars for me and not higher is I feel like the poster makes you think this is going to be a horror comedy. It really isn't as funny as you might think based on the poster.
a little
It
too
has
dramatic sometimes.
a lot of heavy drama in it. Some really heavy issues in this movie, which I enjoyed. It wasn't quite what I expected, but it was overall enjoyable, and it's one I think is a little bit of a hidden gem that's worth checking out.
Yeah, just like, I don't know, some of the characters are just like, there's like, no matter where they live, there's just too many characters that are just violent and rapey, and it's like, kind of got tired of those characters. Like, so, It wasn't a big choice of characters, I thought. Yeah, let's go with the sloth.
I was trying to find the other one.
Yeah, but that one's a little farther up, I think.
Where is it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if either of us put it on our list.
Oops. Okay, I'm just gonna go to it now.
Alright.
Anyway, start talking about it. I'll get you your poster.
So, we talk about this movie, like how it had little, like, gnomes. Well, this one has got elves. But they're like Santa's elves, kind of. And, they're out in the barn. Well, at least one of them is. And, once again, you kind of been told the rules. Respect them. Don't disrespect them. And everything should be fine. But, of course, they disrespect them. And problems happen. But this one was really cool. It's a fun, cool Christmas movie. And even though the family is they're supposed to be an American family, even though some of them accents are showing that they're not definitely American, all of them. But yeah, they're typical, kind of annoying American touristy type people who, hey, there's a moose. Let's all get out of the car and take pictures of it on the snowy highway, and bad things happen. And it's funny because, the one officer that's in their little village, she's, always on a snowmobile, and she's just, so put out by these guys. She's she has no time for them. You guys are idiots, basically.
And the dad, he was on Freaks and Geeks and also in the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah. So, I don't know, but I still felt like this one delivered more on that comedy, as we were saying, because it was kind of more what we expected to get out of it. It was funny.
And it still delivered on that theme of where the elves are kind of more of a force of nature. They're neither good nor bad, but you do need to follow the rules and you do need to respect them. So, the elves in this, they don't like loud noises. They don't like bright lights. They do need to be fed. And so their youngest son, he hears about this legend from somebody in town, and so he knows what to do, and he believes in it, and so he does these things, whereas the dad is like, ooh, let's put up our Christmas lights. Ooh, let's renovate. And the elf gets very, very angry very, very quickly. I do like that the family has more of a relationship with the elves, and the elves are more developed as creatures than what we saw in the other movie, Unwelcome.
Yeah.
This is also just really fun. It's kind of a hidden Christmas gem. This movie also delivers a lot more on the horror. You've got a lot of blood and guts in this, and it goes into some surprising places, and you get some unexpected kills that you didn't think you were going to
there's some really good kills in this one. Some really good kills. And the straight up message, in a sense, obviously respect each other, but war, what is it good for? Because even kind of the elves kind of have to take into account should we just continue this war with all the heavy losses on both sides? So, maybe we should just kind of live together in a sense.
My takeaway from this movie was kind of when in Rome. So when you go to another culture, another country, you need to respect that culture, and you need to not just push your agenda. So they know that the people in this town are very quiet and very shy, and they take a while to warm up to you. And these people are just we're American, and they're very, very loud, and they set up shop, and they don't really have a lot of respect for the way things are done in this town, particularly with the way that the elves are supposed to be treated. And I think that was kind of what I took away from this movie, is that when you go to another place, you need to respect the culture and the I guess customs of that place.
The family also just has some very unrealistic ideas of what their plans. They're gonna turn this ratty old barn into a B&B, and it's but I don't know how they're gonna go about doing any of this stuff. It doesn't make any sense.
I feel like it kind of tackled xenophobia. Just because you think it's the right way and that's the way it would work in your country doesn't mean it's gonna work that way in somebody else's country.
Yeah.
Because they're different. So I thought it was really good. It was funny. It was scary. It was gory. It was good.
I really like that one. Something in the barn. Something for everyone.
In the barn. In the barn. Why am I doing that voice? Let's talk about this one. I feel like it just goes after that one.
The barn part 2. It kind of just takes off where the barn one kind of left off. But this time we get Joe Bob and we get Darcy, and good times. Yeah, you get them. They're in this movie.
By the way, Last Drive-In will be on tomorrow night, and I'm not always the best at it, but my husband does some great live tweeting.
Oh, yeah. Get in there and join that hashtag mutant fam. Start talking. Join us, horror community. We all like to talk. We watch The Last Drive-In, and we all just kind of talk about the movies that they're showing and all that good stuff. But, yeah, this movie, if you like the first barn, I think you'll like this. You get a little more variety in the monsters, but It's more or less the same thing. I just feel like there's
Good on you.
some cool cameos, and I like the first one, and this one's not much different.
I liked the first barn. I do think the story's a little more memorable in the first one.
Yeah.
However, this one makes up for it with a lot more monsters and much better effects. You know, the first barn was made for like two people, people rubbed two pennies together. That's what it was made with, and it's really interesting. I also love the story of how the writer-director came up with the story when he was like 7 years old, and made it into like little books and stuff. And now he's realizing his dream, which is a really cool story. And you can tell a lot of love was put into the first one and this one. And especially if you loved the barn, this is that with just, it's just bigger kills, more monsters, better budget. It looks a lot better. Also, I guess if I had a complaint with the first barn, it's that the female character didn't have a lot to do. She was kind of the damsel in distress. This one, she's given a lot more to do. She's pretty much the main character, which is really cool. We also have somebody who's differently abled, who's a main character, and they're not here for
just comedic relief.
Yeah, that's done a lot, and it's really insensitive. So it's kind of cool that they get to be a badass. This is just a really fun movie. If you haven't seen the first barn, you need to fix that right away. It's a true 80s throwback slasher film, from back in the day.
They feel like they really are 80s movies.
And definitely follow up with this one. I actually like this one even more.
Yeah, I think the first one might have had a slightly stronger story, but it kind of fizzles out in the end. Where this one, I feel like it's pretty consistent all the way through. So
I really liked the friendship between our two main characters, and so it was kind of fun to see that continue here. And I also feel like, like I said, this was retribution for our female character in the first one, who was very much limited to the damsel in distress. Here she really gets to shine. And I'm always happy to see Joe Bob and Darcy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They make any movie way better, so definitely check out The Barn, too.
The Barn.
The Barn. Alright, let's make our way to the next movie. We'll get there eventually. It's Slaughterhouse.
It's a misnomer that sloths are slow.
Yeah, this one's deadly, and it can be fast when it wants to be.
Alpha! The sloth's name's Alpha in this. So this movie is so weird.
Oh, yeah.
It's part, college comedy, part creature feature.
Yeah. It's pretty silly. Honestly, I love how they just never really... They show the sloth it's about to get killed by a crocodile in the beginning, but then it kills the crocodile. And then it gets poached, in a sense, and sold off as a pet to someone who's not, illegally. And she's going to make it the mascot of their sorority house. And she's using it to kind of get popularity so she can be, voted up in the sorority, levels.
Yeah, she wants something unique that makes her stand out so she can be the president. Because the girl who's been the president is really rich. She travels the world, but a lot of people don't really like her.
Yeah, she's kind of...
So this sloth, making it the mascot of the sorority house, really gets her a lot of attention. And I like that the movie does address that ethically. That's kind of fucked up. This is a wild animal, and it shouldn't be used just to, help you get some cred on Instagram. It handles that actually really well, but it also has a lot of fun with the sloth. The sloth is a puppet.
Yeah.
It's adorable. I love puppets, so I had a lot of fun with this. They do a lot of the kind of gremlin stuff with it. And I love how it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
The sloth can use the phone. It can use, scroll through Instagram.
The movie never explains how it's, killer. How it killed that crocodile. How it's killing anybody that it kills. If you piss it off.
The sloth knows how to hashtag.
Yeah, hashtag sloth selfies and all that stuff.
The sloth knows how to drive a car.
Yeah. It can
kind of sloth can do all the things. It's also really murdery. Yeah. I also like that the whole reason the sloth turns, because it does like the girl at first, and it kind of likes being part of the sorority at first, but then it finds out that the girl she had met and became friends with the guy who had poached the sloth, and now it's all right, now I'm going to murder you and everyone you've ever met.
Yeah, it's very vengeful. At first it's very spiteful to her enemies, but then it's no, you're my enemy too, and just don't piss off the sloth.
This movie also has a really fun, diverse cast, which I think is really fun. I also like that this movie... I love movies where the horror movie has songs about the movie. This one has a lot of songs about the sloth that are really neat and kind of catchy.
Yeah.
Some jams.
It is PG-13, so don't expect any really good gore. That's kind of like one of the...
It's fun gore.
Yeah, it's more fun, silly. It never was going for anything serious by any means.
It's like a Disney Channel movie, like one of those ones, like Camp Rock, something really goofy like that, but throw in a little bit of murder and an adorable sloth.
Yeah. And it's probably one of the most low-budget, like fun, low-budget creature features I've had experience with maybe since the Zombievers. It kind of gave me some of the vibes of just something being so silly.
For me, it would have been a lot higher. There was a couple characters in this, like side characters, that I don't think really got a lot of development, and one that was really annoying. But beyond that, this was a good time and one that I recommend.
Yeah, I probably would have gone a little higher with it if they were a little less family-friendly and were a little more on those kills, because I think they could have had some really cool kills with the sloth. Alrighty. Moving on up. Moving on up. Already talked about those. Sure, why not? The Pale Blue Eye. It's about Edgar Allan Poe trying to solve a murder mystery. I feel like I've watched that before. This is maybe a little better than The Raven, at least the way it was made. It's not the best whodunit, though. I mean, I feel like it's a little lazy on some of its clues and red herrings and stuff, but hey, it's dark, it's gloomy, it's gothic. And, the acting's great. There's great acting in this movie. So
I agree. It's beautifully filmed. Makes use of the winter setting. It's a period movie without being super boring. I think it's set in like the 18th century. Edgar Allan Poe time. Edgar Allan Poe doesn't ever really feel like Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
In the way that we traditionally would envision him. But Christian Bale is here as the guy who's investigating the crime, and he's terrific. I mean, he's always fantastic. Both lead actors were fantastic.
Yeah.
I wish this had got a little more horror. It kind of goes full horror for like a beat in the third act. So I can see why it's kind of labeled horror by some. My only issue with this movie is I think the clues could have been a little bit better. It could have done better as a murder mystery, and I think we could have actually gotten a little more horror from this.
I agree.
But overall, this was it's a solid movie. It's very well done, and just for the performances alone, I think it's worth a watch.
And those old period pieces aren't usually our jam. I know you're not a big fan of those, and I'm not usually that either. They're usually just really slow, and they feel like you feel like you're getting old watching them. But I know that a lot of people are into those, and I would say this is a good one to check out, especially if you are. Yeah,
kind of like if you like Sleepy Hollow, but with more of a serious tone.
Yeah. Alright. Yeah, why not? Totally Killer. We're gonna go back in time again, a different period piece, but more our jam of where we're like, because this is our nostalgia. What does this take place in the early 90s or something?
The 80s.
Yeah, late 80s. Totally Killer. So I heard, what's his name, who did a Groundhog's Day and all that stuff of horror.
Landon.
Yeah, and a Freaky Friday horror, that I heard that he was going to do like kind of a Back to the Future.
He's still supposed to do one called Time Cut, but I think that movie got lost maybe because of this movie.
But this movie beat him to the jump. Oh, gazoon tight.
Yeah,
this movie must have traveled in time and stole the idea before he could do it, because here we go. We got time travel, and we got murder mystery, and I don't know exactly what that mask's supposed to be, but he looks like Beavis. He is the Great Cornholio, and he's here to kill all of you. Are you threatening me? I don't know. It was fun. It's also kind of fun to see, like, a teenage girl of nowadays interact with teenagers of the late 80s, because it's a huge culture clash, but I thought they did it in a pretty fun way. Unwanting touching and all this other stuff.
This movie was fun. I think it could have been a lot more fun. So it's Back to the Future meets Scream. This girl goes back in time after her mother is murdered in present day. If she can solve the murder, because her friends have developed a time machine that's in a theme park, right? If she can go back in time and stop it, then maybe she can save her mom. She sees her mom. Where it kind of falls apart is, I mean, a lot of the times this nostalgia stuff is fun because you were there and it takes you back. A lot of the 80s stuff is just not very period accurate. Nerd culture, with the exception of maybe Star Trek, was not a thing in the 80s. So, like, the popular girls all dress up as Molly Ringwald characters. That's not something that would have happened then. Even some of the ways that they behave and talk to each other, it didn't really ring true. Also, a lot of the jokes didn't land. But overall, I would say this is a good time. It was really nice to see, like, Julie Bowen again. The guy who plays her dad was really good. I kind of wanted, like, it's fun in Back to the Future when he befriends his dad.
Yeah.
That's one of the most fun parts. And in this, you want her to have that with her mom, and we never really get it.
Not really.
This could have been, like, a 4-star movie, but it's just a 3-star. It's a good time. It could have been even better if they had kind of tightened up some parts of it. But it is a good time. I like her and Shipka. I laughed. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you got Sabrina in there. You're doing a great job.
Max Headroom, I see that.
Yeah, I think that might have been what it was going for, but I'm not sure. It just looks like I said, I just see Beavis.
The murder mystery reveal at the end I thought was really predictable.
Yeah, it was pretty predictable. Then they have an extra twist, which was also fairly predictable.
Honestly, I was really excited for Time Cut, which they casted and everything, so I don't know what happened there. I almost feel like this is a case of, like, Deep Impact versus Armageddon, and this is Deep Impact. Like, yeah. I feel like this feels it feels a little slapped together. It doesn't look very polished. It looks like a straight-to-streaming movie, which it was. This feels rushed and slapped together, but it was a good time.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate because the premise is so cool that this could be as fun as something like Happy Birthday to me, Happy Death Day.
Yeah. If
it was done better.
Yeah, I'm still hoping he makes his, or someone makes Slash to the Future.
It's called Time Cut.
I know.
The other one.
I know. I like the premise. I wouldn't mind more of them.
But that's a good title.
Yeah, it is a good title, see? Maybe I'll make it myself. Anyways, yeah, I recommend it.
George Ferris's looks kind of like Joe Biden. I feel like the mask is like a Rorschach thing. Like, what do you see? It says a lot about your personality.
Right? I don't know.
But it's a good time. I do recommend it. It's the kind of movie I think you should throw on at, like, a party. Like, there's fun things in there, like a fight scene in a Gravitron. Like, there's some fun stuff. It's just, that kind of thing is usually very much my jam. I love Happy Death Day. I loved Freaky. I wish I loved it more than I did. I had a good time.
Someone who actually had some fights in Gravitrons, because every once in a while you get some guy who was cool and didn't care, and like he like went sideways or upside down, and then like me and my sister would kick at each other. We're like kicking our feet at each other. So,
your childhood was fun,
but I don't think that people like.
What do you want to talk about next? I didn't have this one on mine. I forgot to put that one on there.
Oh, It's a Wonderful Knife. Let's go for another... A theme. A throwback kind of movie, but make it a slasher. I am not a fan of It's a Wonderful Life. I know it's a great movie and everybody loves that old classic, but I really want to puke every time that it's on TV.
Time after time. Oh, that's another good one. Sorry.
So, someone who doesn't like the source material, I thought this was pretty good. Like, it wasn't amazing. We called the killer right away.
By the way, we're still in our 3-star zone.
Yeah, we're still in 3-star zone.
So these are, they're good. They could be better, but they are good.
Yeah. And it was alright. I had some fun with it. It had some good actors in it. It had some good scenes. The characters, there's like some jokes that like are in the beginning and then like they're funnier later when you see the rest of the movie. But then there's like weird magic and like mind control that never really gets explained.
What's his name? The bad guy, Justin Long.
Yeah, Justin Long.
He is so weird in this.
He's very weird. I mean, it's cool that he's in it, but he's supposed to be weird. But then there's this big scene with him, and like it's kind of a showdown, and nothing really ever explains that scene. Like it didn't really make a lot of sense. So I don't know. There's a few plot holes in there, but overall, it's fun.
I was actually pretty surprised by this. I think because before I even saw Dr. Wolfiela's review and a few other reviews where people didn't care for it. So I was really going in with low expectations. And I actually found this to be very charming. What's-his-face, who plays the main character's dad, I think it was really cool in a dramatic role, which is unusual for him. I liked the girl who's the main character. She was from Yellow Jackets. It's cool to see her get more work and a bigger role. I loved the love story between her and the other girl. I thought that was really, really
Weirdo.
cute. I didn't understand all the rules of this movie. Some of the rules didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And It is interesting in that parts of this movie feel a lot darker, and I'm not sure that I love Justin Long in this movie, especially the end. There's some possession stuff that just felt weird and out of place.
Mind control that never got explained.
That was weird and really out of place, and I didn't care for that part of it.
Yeah, it seemed...
But I loved the main romance and the idea of somebody, you know, essentially, just like It's a Wonderful Life, feeling like, you know, they're unappreciated and that they're not contributing anything to the world, and maybe the world will be better off without them, realizing, you know, it wouldn't be that they're important. And in her case, though, she did kill the killer, so like I don't know why it took her so long to figure that shit out.
And it's kind of weird, like, you stopped a killer, but you should still wish that you were never born, like... I don't know. Whatever.
It's a little weird, but I had fun with this one. I think a big part of that could be that I went in with very low expectations, and I was just really charmed by the romance of it. As a romantic comedy, Christmassy movie, I like this. Is it as good as something that's not horror happiest season? No, but it was charming.
Yeah. It's a fun little...
And I laughed a few times. So, I mean, these are 3-star movies. They could be a lot better, but they could be a lot worse.
That's the thing. They were good, but... they didn't quite deliver anything real special.
I agree with Brandon the Beldam. We need more of these Shudder movies in the cinema.
Yeah, I agree.
And I love Shudder, too. I love to support Shudder.
Oh, yeah. Gonna be watching Shudder tomorrow night. That's for sure. Alright, so we have another installment in the VHS category. VHS is overall a pretty consistent franchise because it has so many movies. Not every little film in the VHS movie is a hit. But usually, if you watch the entire film, you will find a good gem in there. This one, for me, was fairly average. I don't think it was... it was alright. I mean, I liked it, I guess.
My only problem with this one is it's so much like the 90s one that I keep forgetting that I saw this one.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting I saw this. I have to like look up which segments were in this one. It is a little forgettable. It's a lot of the same territory we crossed with the 90s one, only now it's 80s nostalgia, and the wraparound's really lame and completely forgettable. But this is, I mean, it's worth a watch. I would watch it again. It's enjoyable. I just, for some reason, keep forgetting that I saw it.
Yeah. I don't think this one particularly had anything that really blew my mind, but nothing was bad in it really either, like really bad. It just... you know, it's a VHS movie.
I feel like with it being 80s, they could have capitalized on more 80s technology than they did. But, I mean, it's fine, guys. It's a 3-star movie. I would recommend it. It's a fun way to, you know, spend some time. And if you like the other VHS movies, I think this is just more of the same. Yeah. I don't think any of them are bad.
No, they're pretty consistent. They're nothing usually... like, it's rare when one of them has, like, only good movies in it. Some of them have a little more than others. I would rank them that way, but they're all pretty consistent.
I think that bad thing with this one, as opposed to all the other ones, is usually there's at least one standout. Even the 90s one, like I liked the girl band one. This one, none of them stand out, so I keep forgetting about it.
Yeah, nothing particularly. I kind of liked the weird... we can't die because we were in the lake, but...
yeah!
But that still, it wasn't amazing. It was just good.
But, I mean, I recommend it. I think, wasn't the serial killer one in that one, too? Yeah, there were some good ones. I keep forgetting which one it is. Maybe it's just because it was so back-to-back with the 90s one.
Yeah, there's a cool kind of serial killer one where, like, this tape is getting dropped off to the police, and, like, it's the killings before the killings happen. That one was pretty cool.
All right, another, for me, this was a 3-star, but it was pretty good.
I think I gave it a little higher than that. I liked Influencer. It kind of just, I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. It was refreshing. I like the whole premise, and even though we kind of called some of it, like, from how it was going to end, from how it started, didn't really bother me. I
feel like the ending, like, you can probably guess parts of it, but
yeah.
It was still surprising in some ways.
Yeah, they took some turns in between that I wasn't expecting, and it's just, there's some good dark-hearted moments in this movie that I really enjoyed.
This movie was a lot of fun. It was a bit of a surprise because especially called, you know, Influencer, being dropped straight to streaming. I didn't expect much from it. It looked like something that was going to be more thriller and just kind of forgettable. The performances in this were really, really good. And it has some interesting twists and turns that I didn't see coming.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got kind of that single white female vibe. Like, you've seen parts of this before.
Yeah.
But it does stuff on its own that's unique, that I think it is memorable, and it is one that I would recommend people check out. It is really fun. It's, if dare say, a feel-good horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, you're really invested in it. You're like, oh, what's going to happen next? And you're having a good time. Because there's a lot of despicable people in this movie. So when they get theirs, you're like, like, I'm not sad about that.
I mean, even between, like, your antagonist and your protagonist, they both have moments where, like, oh, how are they going to get away with this? Or how are they going to escape that? Or, it keeps your interest. And I really liked that about it. It's, a story in a sense that's been done a lot, like, traveling and don't trust people when you're traveling, but it's a really good version of that, so...
I agree. I think it was done really well. There are some parts of it with some of the technology used to kind of catfish people where you're like, really? I'm not sure about that. But, I mean, it worked well enough that you, I think, can enjoy the movie.
Yeah. So,
definitely want to check out. And some really, good up-and-coming talent in it, too.
And we reviewed this, a way back. So if you want a more in-depth review, go check it out.
Yeah, I liked Cassandra Nod in it. And Emily Tennant. They're both great.
Yeah, they were. So, strong performances.
Do this one?
Yeah. Family dinner.
Wait till we show the poster.
Oh, well, I thought they already saw it. Guess they didn't.
There you go.
There we go. So, family dinner. I remember, I think we watched this back to back with The Strays, which we talked about.
This is making me hungry.
And they both have very awkward dinner scenes. So, this girl goes to visit with her aunt and her cousin, and they're just really kind of weird. And
well, a big part of the reason she goes is because she is a plus size gal, and her aunt wrote this big dieting, change your life, lose weight kind of book, and this girl is really struggling with her body image, and she's really struggling with her self-esteem and how she feels about herself, and she thinks she might value herself more if she loses weight, and her aunt has this method that's very restrictive, very she wants her to go days without eating until they have this very big family dinner, and something's amiss, and her cousin is a total jerk, and it's all building up to something, and you're guessing there's going to be some cannibalism stuff in here. It's going in that direction, but I won't tell you how.
Yeah, they kind of allude that there is some ritual. Like, she's staying with her family for the holidays, and her mom's like, you sure you want to do that? And she's like, yeah, even though they're a little weird and peculiar about their holidays that they're preparing for. And that it feels like it's leading up to some sort of sacrifice or something. But it's really cool how they get there, so I liked it.
Like Brandon said about the last movie, how it is like Ingrid Goes West, but I actually didn't like Ingrid Goes West. I did like Influencer, though.
But yeah, this one, trust issues with weird families and their...
This one is one of those ones where it's a lot like Strays in that sense, where it's all tension, but I feel like this one actually had a good payoff at the end.
Yeah.
As far as that climax that you're hoping for.
They were similar in different ways, but they were also very different in ways. But I remember we watched them back to back, so... Both of them, I would say, watch maybe around Thanksgiving time.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Da-da-da. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I saw this one mentioned in the chat.
Brightwood.
So this is a very simple concept, and it is one of those ones where it's perfect for a indie filmmaker with a small budget, and they make the most of their budget. And essentially, if you missed this one, what it's about is there is a married couple, and they're having a lot of issues. They're fighting because the husband was hitting on the wife's coworkers during her big promotion party, and you can tell that this has been a long time coming, that they're heading for a big divorce. And the movie really does a good job of exploring what marriage is, the highs and the lows of it, and how it's so hard to kind of untangle yourself from somebody that you've been with for a very long time. Even if you're to the point where you can't stand them anymore. I think there's parts of you that get to the point where, even if you think that you'd be better off without them, you've been with them so long that they're your family.
Yeah.
So this couple he follows her along to this pond, trail where she
They're gonna
likes
jog
to
around
run. And they find out they're in like a time loop. They keep going around and around the pond, and they can't get home. They can't get away. And every time they go around, it creates another duplicate of them. So it's a kind of a unique concept as far as how those time loops go.
Mm-hmm. And the other versions of them kind of like do things a little differently, usually for the worse. There's all these different metaphors in there about marriage and stuff, like toxic relationships and codependencies and all these things, and like each different version of them kind of deals with it differently, but...
And even just relationships. I think even the best and healthiest relationships, I think there are parts in any relationship where the people you love are your worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know you so well that they can get to the heart of you better than anybody else can.
And they can be their hero and your villain. Like,
exactly.
They are the main character in your life other than yourself, of course.
Like, throughout parts of this movie, they're like, I love you, I hate you. And I think it does a really good job with a very simple premise, a very simple... but small budget of exploring like long-term relationships, especially marriage.
Yeah. So there's been movies that have done this like similar with different themes, but still had the kind of time loop thing going on, like Triangle and stuff. So if you are definitely a fan of any of that type of movies, then you should check this out. I appreciate that he did this on such a low budget. And he did it as such a job. Like, he just had to use this open trail that's by a pond, and, like, it was open, so he just had to film when no one was around.
There's, like, ATVs and stuff, and he just had to, like, take a break. And the score is also really good in this. But I've talked a lot about, like, the metaphors and stuff, and I don't want you to think it's one of those, like it's all message and no movie. Like, there's a lot of tension in here, too. And there are, scares where, like, they'll see somebody from behind, and you're like, okay, that wasn't there before. When you've gone on over a loop so many times and something new pops up, and it could be potentially threatening. Like, there's a lot of tension, and there are some moments where it gets a little gory, and it gets a little bloody. And, I think there are parts in this that are pretty creepy.
Yeah, and even though there's, like, two characters, we said there's, like, a bunch of replicas, so there is a body count. And it's kind of cool that, like, just certain things they say in the beginning and do in the beginning really pay off later. Like, she tells him at one point she's so mad at him and she, like, wants to stab him in the throat. You'll get to see that later and stuff like that.
They're also both really good at being really fucking annoying. So you're like, I can see why you want to kill each other.
Yeah. You'll die alone. I can't live without you. There's all kinds of weird things in here. And like I said, each version kind of explores it differently. And usually, like, are any of them going to make it work? You have to watch the movie to find out. So
I mean, particularly in those marriages where you feel like it's kind of toxic and maybe they should break up. Like, this movie kind of shows, like, why it might be hard for those kind of couples.
And honestly, maybe not just their relationship is toxic, but they themselves are toxic. So even if they were separated, they'd still probably be miserable people.
Agreed. And I think you can apply this to anything, relationships with siblings or long-term friends, just those relationships that I feel like it applies to any relationship that you've been in a long time just because you've been in it for a long time. Like that friend you've been friends with since middle school. Like, well, we go so far back. I can't stop being their friend, even though it's kind of toxic.
Yeah.
But it also explores why that might still be valuable to you, too.
Very Blair Witchy of how they can't leave. Like, the trail disappeared, and if they wander into the woods, they'll just somehow end up back where you were. Like, the more the things change, the more they stay the same.
If you like movies that have, like, are creepy, but they also have that underlayer that you can get into and analyze and pick apart and talk about, this is your movie.
Quite the mind fuck.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Alright, so I loved the original Becky. I thought was Kevin James?
Kevin James, yeah.
Kevin James did, like, the best performance of his entire career.
And they repeat that here by taking somebody who's typically known for comedy and having them as the villain.
Yeah, and I don't know if Stifler will be, like, as iconic as Kevin James was, but...
Kevin James was insane just because I've only ever seen him in comedy, and he was actually scary as, like, this kind of neo-Nazi type guy. You're just like, it was unrecognizable. Stifler is the bad guy in this, and it's still Stifler.
And I've seen him
Maybe
as a dick.
Maybe it's just because Stifler's such a dick all the time. I don't know.
It wasn't a big change. It was
but
still
he
a
is
change.
still good.
And he did great. And Becky was amazing as again.
Lulu Wilson, I love her. She was
Yes.
in Conjuring Creation. She's been in a lot of horror. She's a lot of fun. There's 5 more of these movies. I'm gonna watch them.
Well, the first one, like, just a quick little recap, is she kind of Kevin McAllister's a bunch of Nazis. Just this key that has, like, coordinates, and she doesn't know where it goes. It's, like, very important. They, like, kill her family, basically, to get it, and she kind of kills them back. At this point, she's kind of stepped up from Kevin McAllister to basically John Wick.
It's Kevin McAllister if they actually were like bloodthirsty. Like she's kind of she's a baby John Wick, but she actually really enjoys like getting vengeance on people. And the only being she really cares about is her dog.
Yeah.
Who's this big dog, but is actually really sweet. Where she looks like a sweet little girl, and she's kind of scary. She's stuck in the foster care system. She runs away, and she finds a woman who takes her in, and she's kind of got her own found family. When this time it's not neo-Nazis, it's kind of like your MAGA types, your Trump supporters, your good old boys. They come in and they kind of fuck up her world again, and Becky does not put up with people fucking up her world.
Yeah, so there you go. And she finds out that they have some terrorist plans, and she's like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna totally ruin that. So
where these movies really excel, these Becky movies, because there's 2 now, is the practical effects. It's incredible. If you want to just see the red stuff splattered everywhere, you want a lot of good, gory fun. It also has a great sense of humor. It's all tongue-in-cheek. You're going to have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, this has definitely got a kill that's going to be nominated for Best Kill in the Oscars this year, so.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with any of these movies, if you are... The first one was neo-Nazis. This one, it's Trump supporters. If you're a big Trump fan, it might not be your bag.
I can understand that. I mean,
but
if you were a Nazi, then I'm just going to be like...
Yeah, I don't know.
If you're a Trump supporter, that doesn't mean you're necessarily a bad person,
then,
obviously.
I think you can recognize that it's not saying it's all people. It's those really extremists, right-wing people.
Extreme.
So I think you can still have fun with it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really critical in that way. These are very tongue-in-cheek, and they don't take themselves that seriously. Both Becky movies.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter where in politics, left or right. There's extremists on both sides, and they will do things that are wrong.
A good example, The Hunt. That's extreme left-wing people.
Exactly, and I love that movie too. So
extremes on either side are scary.
Exactly.
And this movie is just another one that explores kind of taking down those extremists.
Yeah. It's funny though, at one point they're like, you're really good, we should like recruit you.
Yeah.
She's like, no thanks.
That's the most fun about this. No, she signs up.
No, what? No. The Trump supporter, remember, they want to like
recruit. Yeah.
They're like, you killed a bunch of our people, but maybe we should get you on our side. It's
kind of just like teenage John Wick, because she's just really, really good at killing people. Nobody knows why. It's just, some people are naturally gifted at things. Becky's really good at killing people. And it's a lot of fun.
And even though there's a lot of dark, violent humor in there, like, it's very humorous. It's like, they're always having fun.
So much blood and guts. Oh my god. I think, without spoiling too much, one of the kills in there, she's about ready to kill one of the guys, and he's all like, but I have a wife and kid. And she's like, maybe I'll pass you. What's your kid's name? Adolf. All right, we're not doing this.
Really, dude? And she just kills him. He's like, name your kid Adolf. Come on.
Oh, this is a really good one.
Yeah, this one was fun.
This was a surprise.
It was kind of like weird Saw Trap. These people are on like having a reunion. They're all from high school. I mean, I called the killer pretty easily on this one, but
they're having a Juneteenth party.
Oh, that's right. Juneteenth party. But they're all from high school and they haven't like been a group for a while. They haven't all gotten together. But then there's like
they're college friends.
Yeah, they're all college friends that just haven't hung out in a while. But it was actually pretty good. Like, I didn't know exactly what to expect. I thought it would be pretty fun, and it was a little more fun than I even expected.
This was really surprising, and this is coming from somebody who actually did, like, what was that fucking movie called?
Meet the Blacks?
Yes, I actually liked Meet the Blacks. Meet the Blacks 2 I didn't like.
Meet the Blacks,
but, I've seen a lot, that particular director has done a lot of modern blaxploitation type movies, and they're just really cheap, and they're not great. There's also, the haunted house one, which kind of played on like Paranormal Activity, the ones by the Wayans brothers. So I honestly thought that this was going to be more of the same, and I was really surprised that it's really well made. And it's actually really funny. It's a lot like Scream. Scream meets Saw, but funny. Yeah. So these friends are all gathered together. And of course, there's going to be a lot of jokes that kind of poke fun at a lot of the things that people of color have to put up with. But it's actually, I don't even know. The essential game they have to play, like, would you like to play a game, is this game that quizzes them on, like, Black history and stuff. And so they're, like, kind of put to the test. I don't think I'm even explaining it well.
They go down into this basement, and there's a weird board game, and they're like, that looks racist and messed up. But no, it's, like, it tests them on really what they know about it. But, of course, there's high stakes, to survive the actual night. And there is killers running loose with knives and whatnot. And,
I mean, it's hard to talk about this because we're white people.
Yeah.
And I think it's better probably to look for a review from a person of color and see what they think. But what I did like about it is the characters are very multi-dimensional. So, like, one of the questions is asking about, like, people of color on the show Friends. And the joke is that they actually know specific, like, episodes of Friends, even though Friends is a very whitewashed show. So it reveals that they have actually seen Friends, even though at first they're like, I think the correct answer is, I don't know, I've never seen that show. Yeah. So,
I don't watch that donkey show.
I thought it was really, really fun. It's a lot like Scream with, like, a lot of the questions and stuff, and then the games and how they people get kidnapped. But it also has a lot of fun, too. One of the characters at one point, she takes, like, Adderall, and then she has, like, super Adderall powers where she's, like, uber focused and is able to just John Wick her way. We talk about John Wick a lot. John Wick her way through the situation. It's really hard when you deal with anything that's considered, like, a touchy subject. Racism is a hard subject to make funny without being offensive and without being so woke that you're not funny.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie did a brilliant job of walking that tightrope where it's honest and funny, but not preachy.
Yeah. I agree. Like, some of those movies, they go too far one way or the other. I felt like this one did a good job of not doing that.
I guess one thing you could take away from it is I am obviously so white I glow in the dark, and I never felt like I was being, like, attacked or that this wasn't something that I was allowed to enjoy too. It wasn't, like, super exclusive. It was just funny. Funny humor is kind of a universal thing. There's certain things that we as humans find funny, and this was really funny while still managing to, highlight some issues and even, open up our eyes to some things that people of color experience that, those of us who are not people of color, maybe would like some insight on.
Yeah. And characters were all good and likable for the most part. It kind of reminded me of, like, the video game Until Dawn, because, like, someone's got a new ex, or, like, someone's now an ex, and they got their new, like, boyfriend or girlfriend with them, and there's, like, one who was picked on by, like, one of the more popular ones. That's just kind of how it is, but they're all getting back together. It's been a while.
And, again, some of the things I found really interesting was how they're kind of shitty to each other. Based, like, one of them's half white, and they treat her differently. Like, she has to, like, prove her blackness to the other ones. One of them is gay, and the way they treat them, and it deals with some issues like that without ever becoming a movie about issues. It does what humor is supposed to do. Humor is supposed to kind of break down barriers and get us to talk about stuff in a way that is fun. And this movie does that.
And,
and the kills are actually good!
Like I said, I kind of called it, but at the same time, I didn't call exactly how they were doing it, because there is cool, like, little twists on how they're going about it. And,
I guess the killer, too, but I feel like this movie, it's not like Scream, where that's
not the main point. Like,
or an Alfred Hitchcock movie, or Whodunit.
Yeah, it is.
It's about the ride. It's about the humor, and the jokes land.
Exactly. There is that, and it is fun, like, to kind of guess some of that stuff, because everybody does have, in a sense, a motive, so it's, like, there's some fun, like, things with it. And to weigh in on, like, how they're going to make it and who's going to be the first knocked off and whatnot. So, there you go.
I enjoyed it. It was really fun. It was, honestly, I would say it's, like, as you know, if you are somebody who's a person of color and you don't like Scream because it's super whitewashed, then watch this movie because it's kind of the same fun as Scream. It's got that humor, but you know, it's got a great, you know, great all diversified cast. So
yeah, and Joe Lynch gave it 3.5 stars too.
Yeah.
There you go.
I missed adding a lot. Oh no, okay. Just we have them differently.
Yeah, it's fine. They're close enough.
How about this one?
Unseen.
Hold on, Danny.
But I haven't seen it yet. This movie was kind of interesting because someone is helping someone through a phone the whole time trying to survive a situation. And it's kind of been done, but the way they did it was a little unique, a little fun. And
this was Cellular, that movie that had Kim Basinger in it, done right.
yeah, they did a better job, I think.
I didn't like Cellular. I thought it was really cheesy. This was fun. This was actually heartwarming. So you have this gal who has a very abusive ex-boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
And she manages to get away, but she's literally blind without her glasses. Her ex, who has come to attack her, has destroyed her glasses. She cannot see. She gets a phone, and the number she calls is this girl who's working at like your regular like gas
station.
type
Very abusive
thing.
job though. Like her fellow employees, the customers, the owner, everyone is abusive to her.
It's an extreme one where she's got plexiglass like protecting her from people, so it's not like our small town 7-Eleven.
Exactly. But
anyway, this is the only number she gets, and the girl's like, I am not equipped for this. This girl has no self-esteem. She has no self-worth, and this girl's asking for help, and she's like, I can't help you. You need to call 911. And the other girl is like, I can't guarantee I'm going to get 911 or anybody else. You have to help me. So she does things like put her video camera on so that the other girl can tell her what she's seeing and stuff and help her get away. And throughout this, it's really a cool story about friendship.
Yeah, they've become very friendly with obviously getting to know each other and really caring about each other. And yeah, you don't know, like, there's a lot of moments that are very intense on both sides of the phone. Like, obviously, the girl in the woods trying to survive, but even the girl in her job is trying to survive things.
And that's the thing, the girl who's working at the gas station, she has no self-worth. She lets people stomp all over. She is like a Karen-type woman who is horrible to her. And she lets people abuse her all the time. And through her friendship with Emily and helping her when she feels like kind of like more self-worth and more empowered, but Emily also teaches her to kind of stand up for herself. Well, meanwhile, she's literally Emily's, eyes. She's helping Emily through a situation she can't survive on her own. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked it. It was heartwarming.
Yeah.
I was like, aw, the feels. If you like stories that are just about like just good friendship, like true friendship, it's great. Is this one you think count?
Yeah, we might as well talk about it real quick. Missing. A similar story to
It's kind of a spin-off of Searching, which Searching was really good. It had John Cho in it and his daughter goes missing. That one was incredible. This is kind of the same thing, where it's that shared screen type movie. I'm reluctant to call it a horror movie, but it's definitely a thriller, so it's horror adjacent.
Yeah.
But this girl, she throws a big party at her house. She is the daughter of a single mother, and her mom does not come home. Her mom went off with a boyfriend, and she cannot track down her mom. And as she starts going through mom's computer and her accounts, she starts to discover that there's something really messed up that happened, and her mom might be in real danger.
Yeah. And there's all, just like Searching, there's all these different twists and turns where you think it's, leading one way, but then it's a dead end, but then, you find another clue a different way. And so, she's thinking, is it human trafficking? Is it, someone vengeful? She finds out that there's all kinds of secrets her mom had that she didn't know about, so...
I will say, I think Searching is the better movie just because it's a lot more believable and the twists are good because they make a lot more sense. This one has some pretty unbelievable twists, but it is still fun and it is still one I would recommend. It is very, edge of your seat thriller. And
if you've seen this one or Searching and liked it but didn't see the other one, definitely see them both because they're pretty much the same
Definitely see Searching if you haven't seen that one. And if you like Searching, watch this one too. It's a good time. I didn't see this one. You want to talk about it?
Sure.
I didn't see this one, but Danny's got you.
Resident Evil Death Island. So yeah, another animated Resident Evil movie. They make a few of these.
Is that Jill Valentine?
Yes, that's Jill Valentine. This one's kind of interesting. They're not sure exactly how the people are getting turned into zombies, but they are being turned into zombies, and it takes place on Alcatraz, and like people are doing a tour there, and then all of a sudden everyone's getting turned into zombies. It's more saying less. If you like these movies, this one is one of the better ones. I'll say that. Like, maybe this is probably my favorite one since maybe the first animated Resident Evil movie they made way back in the day. They've made a bunch in between, and most of them are just kind of they're alright, but forgettable. This one, actually, I liked. I thought this one was pretty good. Because usually in those other ones, you get paired off with, like, one person you care about from the series of video games, and then there's a bunch of new characters you don't give a crap about. This one actually is your all-star cast of the characters from the games. You get Chris, Leon, Claire, and Jill.
Leon.
And yeah, you get all of them. You get all the good characters in this one. So it's probably my favorite one. So there you go.
Very cool. I see lots of characters. Is that the guy from Zero?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Rebecca, right?
Chambers, yeah. So you get all the good characters. That's why I liked this one. I actually cared about these characters, because usually there's one good character and then a bunch of new characters that you don't even want to care about.
I didn't finish this one, but do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I liked this enough.
This is one I started, but I haven't finished. Not because it's bad. I don't know. It wasn't good enough to keep me, like, glued to the screen, but I don't know. I didn't finish it. I watched half of it.
I went into this with really low expectations. The one with Eddie Murphy was really boring. It was. Nothing against Eddie.
What about the Muppet one?
The Muppet one is short, and it's alright. It was okay. The Muppet one wasn't...
I like the guy from Get Out who's in this, and you've got,
Danny
Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson. The cast is amazing, especially Danny DeVito. Every scene he's in, he steals the show.
And that guy was also in Sorry to Bother You, which was so good.
Wilson does a good job. Yeah, Sorry to Bother You guy. Great. It's just kind of a different take. They've made this movie 3 times now. The first time,
I'm not even that into the ride.
The ride is alright, actually. I do like the ride.
Okay.
It's one of the better rides at Disneyland. I'm more of a Hollywood Universal Studios guy.
We're Universal people. That is our Disneyland.
We're not the biggest Disney fans, but I thought this one was pretty good. Like I said, low expectations. It's just got some spooky nonsense, and
I like the essential premise where there is obviously the haunted mansion, but once you go in there, you cannot leave. And so they need help, but they're also reluctant to bring in more people because then they're also going to be trapped there.
If you leave, you are, like, extremely cursed. Basically, it's the House of Danhausen. Once you are there, you are cursed.
And yeah, it gets really scary at night. And I felt for the main character, Rosario Dawson, who's there with her son. So obviously she needs help, but she also has these ethical dilemmas of bringing more people in and potentially cursing them.
Yeah, she brings in what's his name? Who's basically
his name's like Lakeith, I want to say. What's
his
name? Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah,
that's so awesome.
And he's kind of like a Ghostbuster in theory. Like
But he also doesn't have a lot of faith in what he does.
Exactly.
Like, he doesn't truly believe that there are spirits. But that is what he does for a living.
But so she,
investigate them.
Yeah, so she wants him to hopefully help break the curse. And eventually, they all work together to break the curse. It's a family movie, but, I liked it.
Spooky fun with your kids. Check it out.
Exactly. If you got young ones, watch it with them.
Yes?
Yeah, The Passenger. So,
Whoopsie.
So this is The Passenger, and for me it was like Training Day, but a little more horror than Training Day. Training Day was just an intense, like, kind of thriller. But they're not cops. They're fast food employees.
I love Kyle Gallner. He's becoming like a male scream queen.
Yeah, and I love the poster right there will tell you that this is.
And the other guy was in Snowfalls, and he's actually really talented. He knew.
Yeah, and there's a lot of violence to start things off real quick, and then it's kind of a really intense drama from there on. I wouldn't say necessarily a horror, but if you look at that poster, it's a grindhouse type movie.
It's a grindhouse type movie, so it's very horror adjacent, and it is billed genre-wise as horror. I think it's just because the the violence is so extreme.
Yeah.
So our initial premise is we have these two guys who work at a burger joint, like a fast food burger joint. And the one guy is just, he lets people walk all over him. He's being bullied horribly. He's just kind of a sad sack kind of guy. And then Kyle Gallner's character finally just has a fucking enough. Goes to his car, grabs a shotgun, comes back in, blows away everybody except for this guy. And he's like, you know what? You're going to get in the car and I'm going to help you because you need help, says the murderer.
I'm going to teach you to man up.
Basically.
We're going to go on a road trip. And
and you essentially find out that Kyle Gallner's character, he's somebody who probably had a lot of potential. He's smart and he's just been stuck. You know, he's in like his 30s or 40s now, and he didn't end up where he wanted to end up. He lives with his mom, and he's unhappy, and he's working at a burger joint, and he sees potential in this kid, mostly because he thinks that this guy is a genuinely good guy. And so one bad day when he was in grade school, you know, shouldn't ruin his life. He thinks this guy has potential to get his life on track and to have a life that is fulfilling for him.
Yeah, his girlfriend dumped him and never told him why. His mom's very overly, like, controlling for him, even though he's technically an adult.
What other
He gets
names?
bullied horribly.
Kyle Gallner is Benson, and the other guy is Randy. That's right,
Yeah.
Randy. Oops. Oopsie. Whoopsie.
But he's like, you know, he lets people bully him, even though he is possibly going to get a promotion at this burger joint.
Like, his name's Randy, but he lets people call him Benson, and he never corrects them, because that's what's on his name tag, because they misprinted it.
Yeah.
Or no. What's his last name? His name's not Benson. Benson's Kyle Gallner. He lets people call him Bradley. That's it,
Yeah.
Bradley.
Yeah. But, I don't know, it's a very unique kind of road trippy movie, and I love how it, like, really subverts your expectations, because when you think, oh, you have this tragedy, and you want to talk about it, it's not what you expect. They're going to go do this one thing, it's what they end up doing, not what you expect.
It's intense. I've never seen a Build-A-Bear scene be this stressful.
Yeah.
Because Benson is highly unhinged. And the movie doesn't hold your hand and explain everything either. You need to kind of connect some dots. Something horrible happened to Benson and threw his life off track. He sees with Randy that he's going down the same path. Mm-hmm. And he wants to help him, but he is also a very damaged person. Probably not the best person to help him. It reminds me a lot of also the movie Falling Down. It all takes place in one day, and they're in a car. They've murdered people they probably should be running, but they stay in this one town. And, you know, he tells Randy, okay, you have issues with your girlfriend, let's go take care of that. And they go to Build-A-Bear, but it's
insane therapy.
because you don't trust Benson to not go crazy and just kill this poor girl who, may have broke the guy's heart, but she doesn't deserve to die.
Exactly. I mean, you never know exactly what's going to go on with him. He does obviously string violence a lot, and at least make you think violence is going to happen. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But you're always paranoid about it. And it's kind of like he's trying to rescue this young guy, but who rescued who, right? You know, like, obviously it's good for him, too. They're both having, like, a therapy session of a very intense measures here.
Oh, Zombie Toon's here. What's up?
What up, Zombie Toon? How we do?
I saw a chat, but it was, like, really outdated, so I didn't see what they were saying. Brandon says, the Haunted Mansion ride is a favorite of mine as well.
I like how there's the grave for Mr. Toad out front of the ride.
I do love that.
He died. Probably driving in his car.
Yeah, so this is one I think that flew under a lot of people's radar. The director of this one, like I said, is the guy who did The Ruins, and he did Swallowed. I think he's really talented. He is definitely one to watch. But of his two movies from this last year, Passenger is the one I would recommend.
Yeah, I like this even more.
He understands tension, though. Both movies
both
were
are very
tense.
intense, and both of them are like kind of a road trip gone wrong.
And just
different movies, but still.
Kyle Gallner does no wrong. Even in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which isn't great, he's terrific. He's always good, and I'm so glad that he's going to be in Smile 2.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
You can talk about that one. I haven't seen it, so.
Okay. So this was one I was actually really excited to see because my son is a murder mystery guy, not a horror guy. Mm-hmm. He'll rarely let me drag him to a horror movie.
If it's a whodunit, he'll probably think about it.
He'll go see like Scream or something, but he won't just go watch something like Thanksgiving. But this, my son, is obsessed with like Agatha Christie and Hercule Poirot. He loves these movies, and he was so excited that the next installment in the Hercule Poirot franchise was not just another Agatha Christie movie, but it was also the horror one, A Haunting in Venice. So this one is really fun. I've seen Death on the Nile and I've seen Murder on the Orient Express. This is my favorite one so far. The visuals in this are astounding. It's pure art. Even when they do like a shadow puppet show for the kids at the beginning, it's just like, it's breathtaking. You forget, you get lost in what's going on. You're very present watching this movie. They're rowing gondolas from building to building. It's gorgeous. Like how they capture Venice, how they capture this time period.
Love to go to Venice
They have
someday.
Tina Fey in here in a dramatic role, and it works, but she's still funny. Kenneth Branagh is perfect as Hercule Poirot, and this is another murder mystery, but unlike the other two, the spooky thing here is it happens during a seance. So you have Michelle Yeoh as like this medium, and then it goes horribly. They're trying to contact this poor young girl whose fiance left her, and she, they think she, died of a broken heart. She killed herself or whatever. And yeah, then the medium gets murdered, and they're all in one building, one house, and everyone's got motives, and it's really, really interesting. I did call the killer on this one, but I wouldn't say it's easy. My son did, and he's a murder mystery expert. But it was good. It was spooky. Sure, it has a couple of those tried and true overused scares, like the bathroom mirror one. We've seen it a billion times before. We need to stop doing that in movies. But what I think makes this one special is just the cinematography and the atmosphere. I mean, this is like, the atmosphere in this is like thick smoke. You can capture it. It's just so nice and engrossing and beautiful. Like, you want to take a trip into this movie and ride those gondolas and transverse this building. It's gorgeous. This is art.
Sounds like a movie that you want to like bust out your murder board and maybe pour yourself a bowl of Agatha Crispies and see if you can guess the killer before it's revealed.
It's set during Halloween, and it really has that spooky vibe.
Nice.
And the other thing I really liked about this, because I do like Hercule Poirot a lot as a character. I've watched the series. I've read the books. I think Death on the Nile was the first one that really gave us a lot of backstory on him. But in this one, he's retired. He's kind of pulled in against his wishes in this one. And I think, yeah, you really get a little more of who he is as a character, and I like him. He's a great detective.
All right, I definitely want to check it out eventually.
We loved it, and Lulz, our son, also said it's his favorite of the Hercule Poirot movies.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which makes me happy because it's
Yeah.
spooky as. But look
Spooky
at how
month.
beautiful that is.
Did they celebrate Halloween in Venice? I don't know. Sounds like a cool place to do it if they did.
Do it. You said do it, Danny.
Yeah, I did. All right. Let's get a little warm and fuzzy here.
One thing I've been loving, Brandon mentioned, he mentioned books before, and what's really cool is I feel like books are, in some ways, progressing a little faster than movies are. Right now, in books, at least the books I read, granted I'm very limited in my genres, I read a lot of horror YA, horror adult, but LGBTQ plus novels are huge right now. Like, it's included in just about every novel I've read, whereas in movies we're getting there, but not as quickly as we are in novels. This was one where I was like, okay, this is kind of like the books I'm reading right now. My Animal, which is a LGBTQ plus werewolf story. Absolutely, totally my jam. You make a werewolf movie, I don't care what the fuck it is, I will see it.
Yeah, it also has some hockey in it, too. And figure skating.
And Canada, guys! Canada!
Exactly.
We love Canada!
It's just like
we're
fun.
in Washington, they're like our cousins.
So you got a family here. The dad, and he's got an older daughter, and then twin boys, and a mom, and...
The scariest thing is not that they're werewolves, is that they're ginger. And I didn't say that. My son's a daywalker.
They're twin gingers. They're like, twins share a soul as it is, so... which one's evil? Actually, this movie tells you which one's evil. I'm not going to tell you.
My hair is naturally red enough that I can get away with it.
But, you got McHattie, from... lots of stuff. Pontypool, yeah, he's the DJ in Pontypool. It's like, that's one of my favorite zombie movies that you can listen to. Also, he was the narrator in Basketball, but McHattie's great. He's the father in this movie, and
he's such a talented actor.
He is like the veteran actor
like
in this movie. Like,
we get so excited about young people who are really talented, but there are a lot of older people who started their careers, later in life, that really deserve that same attention.
Yeah.
He is one of them.
The young cast pulled their weight in this film by far, but you can tell, like, I would love to work with him. Like, you can tell he's what brings, like, some notoriety to this movie, and I would definitely check it out for his performance alone. But it's also really cool. Like, there's this girl, and she gets told that she can't be hanging out in the hockey room because there's not supposed to be a girl in there, even though she's really good at hockey. She's better than the boys and whatnot. And, you know, she's, like, being kind of shoehorned into, like, it never really straight up tells you, I think, what year this is, but it feels like it's maybe early 90s or something. I'm not sure, even maybe later. But yeah, she's like just kind of not, she doesn't fit in. She doesn't get to be herself. Like, she can't just openly be gay in a sense. She can't openly be
into hockey.
Exactly. She's like, they're like, the girls are supposed to act this certain way. Also, she's a
Even
werewolf.
in her own family, like her, at the beginning it has a cold open where she changes and she attacks her mom. And even in her own family, she is not accepted. Her mom says, I thought you were going to be like me, meaning she thought that her daughter was not going to be a werewolf like her father.
Yeah.
So she's not accepted in her family. She's not accepted in the sport she loves. She's not accepted socially. She's kind of treated like a weirdo. And finally, she sees a girl where this girl just instantly captivates her, and she's played by Amanda Stenberg, who was Rue in the Hunger Games and was in Bodies. She's really, really, really talented. But our lead actress, Bobby Salvor Menuas, God,
Yeah.
I butchered that, and I apologize. But they are very, very good in this movie. They carry this film. And it's just, it's not quite what I thought it was going to be. I thought with the premise that this was going to be more of a romance. And I think what this really is, it's a story about the underdog or the outcast having their day.
Yeah. It's very much a tragedy, like, in that sense, but she's fighting hard, and she's like, maybe she doesn't know exactly what she's fighting for until the end of the movie. I think she's fighting for something completely different before then, but she's just trying to make it work, and the world is so against her. Like even the things that she loves, she just can't have. So, for more reasons than others.
Yeah, I think anybody who's ever felt like an outsider can relate to this main character. It's like, pinball. Like, she just keeps hitting obstacles, and it finally fucking breaks her. And it's all done beautifully through this metaphor of werewolfism. I also love this idea that she's born a werewolf. Her father was a werewolf, and her father, played by that actor, is so good. And
Stephen McHattie.
That family, and just, I think for anyone who's a weirdo or an outcast or feels like they don't belong for whatever reason, it doesn't have to be for the reasons in this movie. This movie is going to touch you and hit you in a way that a lot of movies don't, because this movie gets it.
Exactly.
It's kind of billed as a romance. I really don't think it is, because the girl in this, they don't really ever have a romance. It's more that she desires this girl. She wants to have a romance with her. Like, there's so many things she wants. She wants to be in sports. She wants to be accepted by her family. She wants to be in love. And everywhere she goes, she gets a brick wall.
Yeah.
And I think that's the crowd this movie is looking for. It's looking for those people who feel like, where is my place?
I mean, she works so hard at all these aspects, with her family, with the sports, with her job, with her potential lover, who, they have some really sweet moments. They do, like, where they care about each other. It's just none of this stuff, nothing in her life is going to work the way she wants it to. And it's kind of heartbreaking and crushing, but you really root for her. That
feeling of wanting to just scream at the top of your lungs is kind of expressed by her being an animal, by her being a werewolf. And I just think it's really beautiful, and I would love to see more films by this director. It's really unique. It's really beautiful. I do wish it had done a little more horror, just because, a
little more werewolf in it.
You know me. I love them werewolves, and I love the horror, because this is extremely low budget, and I think they did really well with what they had.
And there is a werewolf funeral that I really liked to see in this. Like, it's like the way they do the ceremony, like with.
That's the the thing. Like, vampires, I feel like vampires have been done so many different ways, and zombies have been done so many different ways, and werewolves is such an untapped genre. And this movie, like, I love that
Very
they
unique.
introduced different things. It's got the 3-day full moon, which we saw in things like Buffy, but, like, she only changes exactly at midnight.
Yeah,
and
if you're home by midnight, she'll be fine.
the idea of this family of werewolves, her two twin brothers are werewolves, her father's a werewolf, and the resentment her mother has. Like, I don't think her mom really knew what she was getting into when she got together with the father.
Yeah, she deals poorly with it. Like, she is kind of known
She's an
as, like,
alcoholic.
everybody thinks she's just, like, the town drunk, and they don't know exactly what she's putting up with, and it would be very hard to be in her shoes. I do actually have sympathize for their mother, because she is putting up with quite a lot at home, but she's not dealing with it in a healthy way, that's for sure.
This is really unique. Don't come into this movie looking for a big horror fest, because it's not going to deliver you on the blood and guts. It's not going to deliver you on the horror. But as far as a character study, this is a special film. Mr. Flixer says, I don't like ginger snaps. If you don't like ginger snaps because it's got a little bit of that camp, it's a little too neat, and you want something a little more honest, maybe, that still tackles the same idea that, that idea of how all of us, if we hit enough obstacles, kind of want to see the world burn.
Exactly.
You're going to like this movie.
This is, ginger snaps, I'd say, are very different, but they would.
I love ginger snaps.
You could love them
Same.
both, and I could see them pairing well, like in a double feature, but they're also very different.
This movie also plays it a little more safe than Ginger Snaps. I know Ginger Snaps didn't have a huge budget, but it does show the werewolf. This movie really doesn't show the werewolf much. The werewolf here is more of a metaphor for that side of us that really just wants to break out and cause some damage.
The world has kicked you enough to where you want to wolf out. I think we've all been there at some point in our life. And we're in this movie, she actually gets kicked to the point where she wants to wolf out, and she can. So it's bad for those that are kicking her.
But I really liked it. Even the character of the girl that she desires, you understand. Like, people who feel that they have to hide a part of their self because it's not going to be accepted by others. And it's sad when that part of yourself isn't, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the world is cruel.
Yeah. I want to do a quick saying real quick. Anybody who's watching this, if you have any nominations for the Oscars, send them to me on any of the social medias for Horror Addicts, because we will be doing the voting soon. So, and I'll remind you again at the end of this video, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
This is one I'm definitely going to nominate for Best Actress. Or their pronouns are they, them. I'm not sure what to say, but for Best Performer.
Yeah, great job. Great character work in that movie.
Very good. Lots of red lights. If you watch 3C films, you know what I mean. This is your list. Oh shoot! No, I still have my list. It's over here.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted
That's sad. I'm on this side.
Yes.
Whew, wax on, wax off.
What do you want to do next, Danny?
Pick one. Pick one of them 3.5s. That's kind of where we're at right now.
I think you and I both. Yeah, we both have the same here.
This
is one a lot of people loved a little more maybe than we did. We did like it a lot.
Yeah, we did like it. It's kind of first it's People Under the Stairs, and then it's not People Under the Stairs. It's like two different movies.
Brandon gets it. Red lights. Yeah, it has those.
But yeah, this movie is almost like.
Do you need a drink refill or anything?
No, I'm good.
I need to go to the little Gory's room.
All right.
I'll be right back.
Hurry back. All right, well, here's Cobweb. So, if any of you have seen Cobweb, you will probably know what I'm talking about. But it is almost like two different movies. It's a good Halloween movie because they have this pumpkin patch in their backyard. But you have like a very intense mom and dad. And the boy, he's very, in a sense, afraid of his parents. And the teacher is very concerned. Like, there's even a part where he, in the beginning, kind of gets, like, punished for what he's drawing, because he's, like, drawing this girl that's saying, help me, and, like, is it an imaginary friend? Is it a ghost? Who is this girl that's talking to him? He gets punished by these parents by being locked down in the basement. Hey, a little dog. And then, so he, like, turns against his parents.
What's going on in my pocket?
And then it becomes a completely different movie. So, I liked both movies. I don't know exactly if all the plot points work for me. I feel like there's a lot of open plot holes that they just didn't bother to talk about them. They're just like, we're not gonna, like, try and explain it.
Here's some things. Anthony Burgess, aka Homelander. I need to see him in everything because he is incredible. Did you guys know the guy's New Zealand?
Yeah.
He's a Kiwi.
Because I remember watching some of those interviews about the boys.
God, what is her name? The gal who plays the mom.
But yeah, you have Homelander from the
Lizzie
boys.
Kaplan. She's incredible. Mm-hmm. She needs to be more things. I love her in everything.
She's intense too.
The kid is also great in this. So this one, I think what is striking people about this movie is it is so unique. And it is this kind of family horror, and you think it's one thing and then it becomes something else. But I do think it gets uncomfortable sometimes. You know, like that idea, like the teacher's trying to help this kid out that she thinks might be being abused. And you wonder...
It is, but not in the way she thinks.
Are the parents abusing him? Is there a girl in the walls? What's going on here? I was slightly disappointed by the reveal just because I kind of wanted a little bit more, but it was still really interesting and intriguing. Mm-hmm. I think maybe most of it was just, it was a lot of buildup and then we didn't get enough of the creature at the end. I've seen comparisons to Malignant, but what I like about that is Gabriel has a lot of time at the end of that movie to really stretch his legs.
I understood Gabriel. I feel like there was enough that told me why Gabriel is Gabriel, where in this, I feel like answers were just not even addressed. They left us without answers.
This is the kind of movie I think I'm going to like more if we ever get a sequel that gives us a little bit more, because I wanted to know a little bit more as to the motivations of our killer. Yeah. Our creature, our thing.
Its origin even. We're not even 100% sure why it is what it is.
Yeah.
It just
Mr.
is.
Flixer says it feels like a watered down Malignant, and it raises more questions than it answers. Now, for me, Malignant is... I love Malignant. This isn't as much fun as that, but it definitely is one that is noteworthy, that's surprising for the budget. It's pretty impressive, and it's one you should check out.
I feel like she's somehow kind of this Japanese kappa, but they just never explain why. She just is. She's like this anime horror demon woman. Why? Just because?
I don't want to tell them too much.
Exactly, but oh well. Anyways, check it out.
And there are some pretty good creepy moments. I think my favorite was, I think it might even be a dream sequence, but when he sees his parents and they have the glowing yellow eyes. Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely spooky, fun.
It's spooky, and it also has a great Halloween atmosphere.
Exactly. It's a really good Halloween movie to watch with their pumpkin patch.
It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
I wish, the third act had gone in some different places, but overall, it's one I do recommend.
I feel like I hope they make a sequel, because I feel like I would like to know more about what's going on in there. All right, we told you we're
3.5 territory now.
Yeah, we did a different Dracula movie on your channel.
Your Dracula movie.
There was 2 Dracula movies. I feel like this was the better of the 2. Nicolas Cage as Dracula. Not sure I ever wanted that, but so glad I got it.
I did.
And
you know why I did? Because of frickin' Vampire's Kiss.
Well, yeah, I love that movie, but I didn't know if I needed him to be specifically Dracula, is my point. But he is amazing as Dracula, and I love how this movie is a sequel to the old, Bela Lugosi ones, and they, just kind of reimagine those black and white scenes with the, and they just do such a good job.
Where they did reimagine or recreate those scenes from the original 1931 Dracula with Bela Lugosi. Those were my favorite parts. So this movie is Renfield. It's told from the viewpoint of Dracula's servant, Renfield, who's had about a fuck enough at this point. And it's kind of a metaphor about toxic relationships. He keeps trying to get away, but then, Dracula would be like, but I need you. You're the only one who can help me. But he also, the rest of the time, treats me like garbage.
And also, and before they get to modern times, he's like, you think they're gonna not punish you for everything you've already done? I am the only one who can protect you.
He's so manipulative and toxic, and this movie really nails it on the head, because he's looking for victims for Dracula, which Dracula, of course, wants victims that Renfield doesn't want to get him.
Young, sweet cheerleaders and nuns and all these people who taste so good, but he brings him, the worst criminals and
Dracula doesn't want
abusive people.
But finally, Renfield joins a support group for people who are in toxic relationships, and he kind of finds a brethren, and he also finds a cop who is actually kind of his hero, Awkwafina. And even though Awkwafina's character in this is not respected by her peers, particularly the people she works with, she stands up for what is right, even when it's hard, and it gives Renfield the courage to do the same thing. This movie isn't as funny as I thought it would be, but it is still funny. I thought this was going to be more fun than it was.
It's got Sonic the Hedgehog in it, so.
It has a lot of action in it. It's not super scary. It's horror light. It's a good time.
It's very violent, though. It's not horror, but it's like Mortal Kombat violence. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Renfield was like going to be a downloadable character for the new Mortal Kombat game, because that's basically the violence in this movie. People get impaled with other people's arms. It's just kind of
This was a 3.5 for me. I think it could have been a 4 if we had more Nicolas Cage, because he is the best part of the film.
Yeah, there's some parts where I felt like it dragged a little bit story-wise. But
and I agree with Brandon about the CGI blood.
It's very CGI. Like, it's only because it's so over-the-top video game violence that it doesn't bother me that much, but it's also not going to get a higher rating because of that type of blood.
Nice to see you again, Vicente Guerrero.
So, it was fun. Like, it's a fun bloodbath. A high-budget, fun bloodbath with Nicolas Cage. So.
It's fun. It is what it's advertised.
It's not a very deep...
time.
There's a little bit of deep metaphor, but the movie itself's not very deep.
It's mostly a turn your brain off and have fun. You know, it's a good date night movie. Mm-hmm. It's light on a, you know, it's got a lot of... Well, if you're like us, it's a good date night movie. Yeah. It's a lot of blood, a lot of violence, and it's fun. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely one I think you need to see, especially if you're a Nicolas Cage fan, and honestly, Nicolas Cage is like my favorite
I watch all of his stuff, even when he was in his bad slump of those early, 2000s.
Even when he's bad, he's entertaining.
Yeah.
We
can do that one real quick.
Is that hard?
Yeah.
Well, hit us with it, Danny.
All right. Here is Batman, the Doom that came to Gotham. It is...
just preface here, I did not see this one. I'm not super into animated films, but Danny has got you covered.
All right, so this is one of those violent Batman movies. It wasn't the most violent Batman DC movie that came out this year, but it is more horror than the other one. It's Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft, but Batman. Like, I mean, they've always had the Arkham Asylum, and there's always been kind of there. But no, this is basically an ancient evil comes to Gotham, and Batman and crew have to try to stop this evil tentacle monster from killing everyone. They are not very successful. Like, Robin is horribly killed. Like, everybody is horribly killed. It is an alternate universe. People you think are safe are not safe. It is really violent. It is a much of horror. It's very much H.P. Lovecraft in a Batman cartoon. There was another Batman DC Superman movie that was even more violent and got like a rated R because of the violence, but that was just brutal violence. It wasn't a horror. This is a horror. So I would say if you like H.P. Lovecraft and you like Batman, check it out.
Batman's getting pretty experimental with a lot of stuff lately, which is kind of fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, you expect this kind of stuff from Constantine, but this is straight up, hey, what if Batman had to, like, fight Cthulhu, basically? Basically. While we're at it, let's stay animated. It's Unicorn Wars.
I saw this one!
Yeah, this one
had Bear Wiener in it.
It's basically, what if the Care Bears and My Little Pony went to a extreme violent war with each other? You got unicorns and you got these cute little stuffy looking bears that are not as cute as they look. Like, they are very,
honestly, like,
very adult.
Jacket.
Yeah, they're very adult. They're very... There's some pervy humor in here. There's a lot of mean bullying like type stuff in here.
It's not for children.
Yeah, they are also trying to slaughter unicorns, but unicorns are pretty fucking badass.
In this world, you have these cute, and they're not bears. They are teddy bears. They're literally teddy bears. Yeah. Teddy bears versus unicorns. And the teddy bears are told that the unicorns are the epitome of all that is evil. And the unicorns have gone into hiding in the woods. Mm-hmm. The teddy bears are trained in the military. And the first half of this movie is very much like Full Metal Jacket. You have these two brothers. One is very gifted in the military and rises up in the ranks. The other one is kind of a softie. And it's just like in Full Metal Jacket. He gets bullied. He gets pushed around. He gets kind of pushed to his limits. Mm-hmm. The way he's treated by his fellow, members of the military is like worse than the enemy's treating him. But yeah, like, you see teddy bear wiener, dudes.
Yep. The gifted one is also, though, he's bitter because he's, like, out of the ranks, he's, like, second best. There is one that is not related to them who is best, but there's a bitter hatred there that goes really far, that's for sure.
So it's kind of weird because this movie has a lot of raunchy humor and a lot of violence. Oh, it's so violent. This is like heavy metal levels of violence. Mm-hmm. It's so violent.
Like
but also
Metalopolis.
cutesy. because there's hearts and stuff. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it also has this very deep story between these two brothers. You know, they're on absolutely different sides of this whole thing, and the other one's kind of a softie who's getting hardened by war and pushed to his limits, and then the other one, you know, it's like, but they're still brothers, and part of them still loves each other, even though they've gotten so distant from one another. Plus, you know, there's the idea of this enemy that is really mysterious, and it's not quite what it seems.
Yeah. And honestly, it kind of comes down to it to where these teddy bears, like, there was apes, unicorns, and teddy bears all in the forest living pretty pretty well together until the teddy bears discovered something that changed them a lot differently. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you won't be too surprised when you find out what it is.
Now, I don't consider myself to be an idiot. I will say this is a movie, I admit, I don't understand the ending. I do like that it gave me a lot to think about, and it's definitely one that's going to stick in your brain, and you're going to be puzzling it over. It is very ambiguous. It is, you know, it's a movie that definitely, it has a message and it has things it wants you to think about, but it's not going to hammer you over the head with it. It's going to leave you running this stuff around in your brain. For entertainment value, though, it is excessive cartoon violence and nude teddy bears, which I didn't know I needed, but I did. But the ending is very... The ending it's bizarre, and it could be a letdown for some people, but, you know, it does give you a lot to think about.
Well, I mean, since we're saying Full Metal Jacket, it's kind of like a very Stanley Kubrick ending. Let's put it that way.
Honestly, yeah, you know what? This is like a Stanley Kubrick film.
Yeah.
It really is. Good way to put it.
They're saying that this violence would be like how it would be if Eli Roth or Rob Zombie... Honestly, the violence is like Metalocalypse, you know? It's like Death Clock, but they're just teddy bears and these kick-ass unicorns. So, check it out. There is intense violence.
Face-melting violence.
Guts and entrails
everywhere. But that movie
everywhere.
really explores, like, our relationship with nature and fascism and brotherhood.
Religion and society and military control.
I think it's a little smarter than I am.
It's very intelligent. It's very foreign as well, too. So,
but it's also really fun. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's great.
Yeah, check it out. What is next?
I'm getting it for you, Danny.
Alright, Dark Harvest.
So this one I read you the book, too.
Yeah, and I think overall I did prefer the book, but there are some really cool things that the movie did that the book didn't explore. So, I don't know. There's parts
so
I
I'll
like
give
better.
you the premise of this one, because the premise is the best part.
Mm-hmm.
So it's set in, like, the 50s / maybe early 60s, in this town that is, you know those towns you drive through that look almost like ghost towns? That kind of town. It's a tiny, tiny town. Mm-hmm. Think Children of the Corn town. And in this town, every single year, they have what they call the run. And only the teenage boys are allowed to participate. You have to be, like, a certain age. I think you have to be, like, 16. Mm-hmm. Teenage boys need to go and get this creature, this Hollow Jack is his name. It's this pumpkin-headed monster. And the pumpkin-headed monster will rise from the cornfield and make its way to the church.
It's like a scarecrow.
They
basically
have to kill it. It's a jack-o'-lantern head. It's flaming. Mm-hmm. They have to kill it before it reaches the church. Otherwise, the town is cursed. They won't have any beneficial crops or anything. So whichever boy is the one to kill Hollow Jack, they get what nobody else in the town gets. They get to leave. Yeah. Nobody is allowed to leave this town.
Paid tuition, a nice car, and you're out. You go to college and have a great life. Everybody else is going to be working in the local factory.
If you try to go down the highway to leave town, you will be stopped by the cops and you will be dragged back kicking and screaming. But if you win, you have a ticket. Not only do you get a beautiful classic car, but you have all the money. Mm-hmm. And your family is taken care of. So it's a big deal to win. I think the biggest prize of it is the freedom. So we have one boy, and this is where
your family will be moved into like a mansion, basically. A really nice house and a really nice neighborhood. Like, you'll be taken care of.
One boy, a lot like Hunger Games, that respect. One boy, he wants to win, mostly because he misses his brother. His brother won. Mm-hmm. His brother won, and then his brother left town, and occasionally he gets a postcard, but he misses his brother. and he, his family hasn't quite been the same. And so his family's actually exempt from participating because his brother already won.
Yeah.
But he wants to win because he wants to go find his brother and track him down. Mm-hmm. And he goes out against his parents' wishes. Oh, the other thing, too, is with all the other families, before you participate in the run, your teenage boys are denied food for like a week. So they're starving. And if you catch Hollow Jack, not only do you kill him, but he's full of candy.
Yeah, he's like a piñata scarecrow pumpkin man.
Yes.
It's so weird.
So these kids are crazy with hunger. And mean with hunger. And he runs into a girl, which girls are not allowed to participate in the run. Mm-hmm. And she has her own reasons for wanting to get out of town. She actually wasn't born in town. Her parents left and had her, which is against the rules. And then when her parents died, she was sent back to this town to live with her aunt. And she wants to get the fuck out. And she's ostracized because, like I said, it's set in the 50s and 60s. Not only because she's a girl, but she's black. Mm. And this boy likes her, which is already just bad news for him. He's going to get a lot of shit for it.
Yeah.
Because just times were different. Mm-hmm. So it's really neat. I love all the little Easter eggs. Like at one point they have masks because they wear masks and stuff because Halloween. So much Halloween in this. Oh, yeah. They have Crimson Ghosts and Misfit masks, which if you know me, Misfits are my favorite band. Okay. But so much Halloween. Such a cool, unique creature. Such a cool, unique mythology.
Yeah, it borrows from a lot of things, but it does it all in its own really cool, unique package. So I really liked it.
It is done by David Slade, who Mr. Flickster mentioned did 30 Days a Night. And you know what? I'm going to say it. He did a freaking Twilight movie, too, and it was good.
I mean, you had mentioned, it's kind of Hunger Games. It definitely is. It's also kind of like The Purge, just because of all the chaos that's going on at night, and everybody who's not participating in the run is, like, locked up their shops and doors and their houses, and they're not letting these teenage boys back in. You've got to go out there and die trying, basically. Hopefully make your family proud.
It's got a little battle royale in it, too.
Yeah,
these guys are starved. Mm-hmm. So their emotions, I mean, they're already teenagers who are hormonal, but their emotions are at an all-time high. So they're turning against each other, too. Yeah. And there's different, battle royale in the way, if you've read the book or seen the movie, you see how different kids react to it. Some of them want to hide, some of them want to make friends, some of them want to kill everybody.
That's how this want to stay clear of because
there are some kids in this who have no desire to kill Hollow Jack. They just want to hide. And there are kids who don't give a shit about Hollow Jack. They just want to kick that guy's ass because they're pissed off and hungry. Mm-hmm. Honestly, have a Snickers. Like, this should be a commercial for Snickers.
Yeah, they're starving, so, there's a part where, they break into, a store and basically kill the shopkeep because they're
they're like, we just want a sandwich.
Yeah.
So
it's almost purgy in that sense.
You understand why they're crazy. They're hungry. Really hungry. And it's so crazy. Like, you've seen the first one where it was last year's run. And not only do they kill Hollow Jack, but they rip it apart. And there's Twizzlers and there's candy. And they're just shoving it in their mouths.
I mean, it's got a little bit of the Burning Man because, you got to do this ritual. Otherwise, we'll have bad crops. It's got a little bit of Logan's Run. Or better yet, it's almost like if Sam from Trick or Treat was put into the Running Man. And
I gotta agree, Ben. I think I'm gonna nominate that for one of the best kills of the year. That basement scene, so tense, and I love a good tense scene that has a great payoff. This movie, I feel, really slipped under the radar. The story is really unique. By the way, if you love the movie, please check out the novella. Yeah. By Norman Partridge. It's very unique. Mm-hmm. But I read it to Danny, and it was a really fun one to read during the Halloween season. But this movie was kind of in development hell for a long time. I'm a little sad that it got kind of dropped onto streaming and it flew under a lot of people's radars because I think it is actually a really good movie. Yeah. And I think it's one that if you haven't seen it, check it out because I think you might actually really enjoy it if you're a big fan of Halloween and, kind of creepy small towns.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few, things with some of the CGI and some of the effects that I wish, maybe with a little better budget, they might have gave it a better release and it would have looked a little cleaner. But overall, it's very enjoyable.
I also love a great monster. It's so rare we see a new monster. And the monster in this has a beautiful mythology. Mm-hmm. So well woven. And it's different. I almost feel like Hollow Jack is like the big brother to Sam from Trick or Treat.
Exactly. Like I said, it's almost as if Sam was in the Running Man. There's what he has to go through.
Yeah.
Because he's got to, the Hollow Jack has to try and survive the night. It has to try and be inside a church by midnight, and they have to all make sure it doesn't do that. And whoever kills him gets rewarded in some sort of way, like, but there's a lot of people, and there's a lot of mysterious to what's going on, like, what is actually going on? I'm not going to tell you, but nothing is exactly what it seems. Like, there's people who are very much in doubt with what they're being told, and for good reason.
I think it really deals beautifully with this idea of your duty to state or community versus your duty to yourself and your duty to your family. Mm-hmm. Like this kid, he's responsible for his family, which wants one thing that's different than what he wants, but his community wants one thing, and it's like, you're told, put your country and stuff before yourself, but that's easier said than done, especially if that country or whatever might be corrupt. Like, the police officer in here is crazy.
Oh, God, he is. Like, but so are the town officials that
run all
this.
By the way, the police officer in here is the biker leather guy from Halloween Resurrection.
Yeah.
But he's great.
But yeah, like, the town officials, like, obviously like, something's just not right. And, like, the way the parents tell him about all this stuff, and he only wants to do it because he wants to leave and go be with his brother, but I mean, at first he doesn't even care about Jack. He just wants to leave, but he's told, nope, get back in there. And
it makes you question things like, people who've been drafted to wars and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like how, especially like wars like the Vietnam War, where it's so complicated. Like those kind of like things where it's so confusing for the person, like torn between what you think is right and wrong, and there's no clear answer.
Yeah, and then I'm going to say this, not in a bad way, but there's parts from, like, The Village that are in here, like how you're not supposed to leave.
And like,
there's obviously you're not supposed to know what...
The Lottery is a good one, too.
Yeah, The Lottery, The Island, these ones are good ones as well. Like, that I would mention to it. The Village in the sense that, they're all kind of being lied to and they're not allowed to leave for certain reasons. So that, obviously, better, though, than that.
Also, I would say, even if you've read the book, which, unfortunately, a lot of people haven't read that book, but if you have read the book, the movie has a very different ending.
Yeah.
I actually like the ending of the movie a lot more.
I'm not sure. I think I like the book a little bit better, but I like them both.
Definitely, if you've seen one, you haven't seen the other.
I think you should check them both out.
They're both great, and like I said, the book it's based on, it's a novella. It's also called Dark Harvest. Do check it out.
Mm-hmm. And just the cool Halloween premise of it all.
Isn't it fun talking about stuff we like? I'm already feeling better about myself as a person.
Yeah, I was feeling a little dirty about being mean to horror movies.
Like, I feel like horror movies is kind of like family. Even if it's that cousin you can't stand, they're still your cousin.
Oh, this was a weird one.
I like this one. Did you not give it? I gave this 3.5 stars.
I think for me it's a 3-star movie, but that's fine. Go ahead.
So this was a really fun, unique movie that popped up, again, straight to streaming. Some of these movies, I really think they would have a shot if they were released in theaters. What I liked about this one is it combines your alien invasion with home invasion. Mm-hmm. We have a girl who is in a house, a big, beautiful house, I think was left to her by her mother, and she has an intruder, and the intruder is an alien. What's unique about this movie is there's almost no dialogue in the entire movie, largely because she's alone most of her time. Mm-hmm. And even when she goes into town, you find out that the townspeople hate this girl.
Yeah.
And it has to do with her and her friend Maud back when they were kids. Something horrible happened in the town has never forgiven her. So this girl is an outsider, and now she is up against an alien invasion. There is a lot of controversy about this movie. Some of the CGI isn't great. Mm-hmm. I liked it. I like that we have lots of different aliens in this. I think aliens are fucking creepy. Mm-hmm. I think this movie has a cool mythology. And a lot of people are divided on the ending. No, I'm not telling you what the ending is. However, I will say this. To the people who haven't liked it, they try to say that this is a lot of tragedy porn. We have a lot of these movies lately where a character has something horrible that happens to them, and that's what the movie's all about. And I really did not interpret the movie this way. I feel like this movie is more about, like, when you're an outsider and you meet somebody else who's an outsider. Like, if you guys are horror fans, you're watching this show, that feeling you get when you go to Crypticon and you're like, oh, you're weirdo like me. Mm-hmm. That's how I took this ending.
I'm sure you have different horror conventions where you're at, but that's how we are. That's like our horror camp. Like, we're like, hey, we're going to go to horror camp and, like, see all of our horror friends and stuff, and we really fit in. But
I also feel like there's an element of this movie that's kind of like, I don't want to, how do I put this without giving away the ending? But I feel like sometimes a person or creature is willing to befriend us just because it's easier to be friends than be enemies, and that enemy's really fucking scary.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I felt bad for the character, but I didn't think it was necessarily tragedy porn. I just, she was kind of on her own. Like, no one will save you. Sometimes you kind of have to save yourself.
It's kind of like you think it's ending and then it's not, and it keeps going on and on and on. But for the people who were like, it sucks that, because they, essentially there's a flashback, and a lot of people think, oh, it's so sad, and that's why the ending is what it is. My thought was that side A of this was like, this person's like scary, and we can either be friends, and not have to deal with this person as a threat, and maybe have them as an asset, because they could, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and this person doesn't get along with other humans, and they are naturally gifted at killing, or we can try to kill them again, which we've been trying to do unsuccessfully and possibly fail.
Yeah, so teamwork makes the dream work.
But what's wonderful about this, the gal who's in this, she was also in Booksmart. She carries the whole damn film. She's so good.
Yeah. I think her performance was great.
It's a little confusing. It's a little weird. But I think it gives you a lot to talk about, a lot to think about. And I think it's kind of like, a diamond. If you don't like one ending, I think there's other ways to interpret it. And I think it's worthwhile. Yeah. I think it's really good.
You can look at it in multiple ways. So, I'd definitely say check it out.
Ba 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 ba. Danny boy. We're into your 4 stars now. What's up with that?
Right?
I think some of these I should probably raise to 3 or 4 stars, but whatever.
It's fine. Let's do the knock.
That one? Where'd it go?
Yeah. Oh, thinking of a knock. Maybe you want to let Brewster in?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're gonna knock at the cabin here. Hey. Also based on a book. I didn't read the book.
Our very first book club one on my channel.
Yeah, Haley, Gory, and Killer Kayla have a book channel review, and this was your first review.
Bloody Book Club. This is our very first one.
We went and saw it with Killer Kayla and her husband in the theater.
I will say about the book, it's so rare that I read a book where I cannot put it down. And Kayla and I had the same experience where we read the entire book in like one sitting in one day.
Mm. There's also some like Harry Potter Easter eggs in there, right?
Okay, so that's one spoiler I'll give you. It's a minor spoiler, but I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know that these people who knock on the cabin, they're there to tell the people inside that this family, this married couple and their adopted child, they need to sacrifice one of their own. Otherwise, horrible things will happen in the world. And for every horrible thing that happens in the world, one of these intruders has to be basically sacrificed. And the first one who goes down is the one played by Ron Weasley.
Yeah.
And the hilarious part is it's not even planned. In the book, that character, after he dies, they clean up his blood with a Harry Potter towel.
Yeah, so that's kind of funny. And that was before he was casted to be in the movie, so it's just in the book. But yeah, you got
serendipitous.
You got Ron Weasley, you got Batista, and Batista just steals the show in this movie.
He is so talented, and I love. He said that he was so grateful to be cast because of being a large, muscular man. He tends to just get action roles, and nobody trusts him for drama, and they need to because he's obviously very talented.
And even though his character is very physically intimidating, it's so much not his character like who he plays. He is a school teacher for little kids, and he works really hard with their adopted daughter to try and explain all this going on and trying to make it as least horrifying and traumatic as it's going to be. But it's like they have this mission. They were all sent here, like they were all told what was kind of like, they're like apostles for this apocalypse, like the 4 horsemen almost. And they have to try and convince this married couple and their adopted, they have to kill one. Like, which one? It doesn't really matter. But he basically vows that he will make sure that it's not the little
Batista as Leonard is so perfectly cast. Because when you read about Leonard in the book, yes, he is a teacher of young kids. And he's described as being as big as 2 tree trunks next to each other. And so that's why this character is extra sensitive, because he knows it because he's so massive that just his size is intimidating. People are naturally afraid of him. And so he goes out of his way to be even calmer, to be even more gentle, to try to put people at ease, because he truly loves humanity. Whereas you have Ron Weasley's character, who is very aggressive. And, you know, Leonard is just, he's like a gentle giant. And he truly believes in their cause. He has had visions that the world will end unless the family that is chosen sacrifices one of their own. And it's this same-sex couple, this, you know, there's 2 married men and their adopted daughter, Wen. This, you know, little girl they got from China. And, yeah, they're a perfectly happy family. But, you know, it's really complicated. I think the movie is good. Essentially, M. Night Shyamalan said that he read the book and he didn't care for the ending, which the ending is pretty insane. So this is his take on it, and he's like, hey, if you don't like mine, the book's still there, and I agree with that.
M. Night said the ending of something else was insane. M. Night said that.
This movie is very much a Hollywood kind of movie. It lacks the depth the book does. I think, you know, I like to talk to you guys a lot about what I think things are about, because I think if these are themes that you're interested in, I think all books and movies are communication. They're stories about what it is to be human. And if you need that story, I want you to find this book or this movie. And the book is about true love. True love. What is true love? And how, I think what's beautiful about it is true love, when you agree to marry somebody, specifically, you are saying, I'm going to be with you until you die. No matter what. No matter if you get really sick, I get really sick. No matter how much of a shitty day you have. No matter what happens. No matter if the world ends. I will be with you.
I will be loyal to you.
And that is what the book does. It's like, even if it's the damn apocalypse, even if the world is falling apart around us, I will walk by your side.
As long as we have each other, that's all that matters.
And it's deeply, deeply romantic. The movie changes some pretty significant things, and it's not about that.
Yeah. And it makes sense.
I think the movie's more about, like, sacrifice and stuff. I don't really know what the message of the movie is. The book is beautiful, but it's not for everybody. The movie is more of a summer blockbuster type movie, and it is really tense. It's beautifully filmed. Some of M. Night's best camera work. The performances are phenomenal.
I think the movie is
I do prefer the book, though.
I haven't read the book. It sounds better for a lot of reasons. I think the movie is more like we have to, in a sense, would you sacrifice yourself selfishly, like for those that you love, not so much for the world, like the world be damned, but for the ones you truly love, would you sacrifice for them?
The trouble is the book and the movie change one significant thing.
Yeah.
And so the movie, it's like, who gives a crap if the world is 80% assholes? We need to look at making the world good for our children. Like, I was told at my graduation, it was the worst graduation speech ever. They're like,
it was depressing.
Kids won't even be able to fish in the future. And so it's like, you know, what will you do for those future generations? About what it truly means to be selfless for those you love. And in the movie, it makes sense. In the book, there are different events that happen. I think the book is more about, like, what those vows of being with someone until you die truly mean, and it means no matter what.
Exactly.
I really think the book is deeply romantic and very good and heartbreaking, and I love it, and it's brave and bold in the way that so few stories are willing to be. The movie plays it very, very safe.
In comparison, it sounds like.
But the performances are so good that you shouldn't miss out on them. The cinematography is so good, and I think as far as, like, comparing to other M. Night things, M. Night takes big swings, and that's why I love him as a director. He takes big swings. He does not play it safe.
No, he doesn't.
I would compare this to something like Signs, as far as it has a moral message. It has a lot of tense moments. If you like Signs, you're going to like this, I think. It is obviously better than something like The Happening. It's not quite as good as something like The Sixth
Way better
Sense.
than Old, which he made before this. So he's back in an upward swing, as far as I'm concerned. Not his best movie, but definitely higher up there.
I think the biggest problem with this movie, and because the book is such a big LGBTQ romance, I think maybe it was kind of fumbled a little bit by M. Night.
Possibly.
I mean, he did say, what I liked is he did say, you know, being somebody who's straight, that he didn't really understand, you know, LGBTQ romance until he made this movie, and I think that's wonderful. But there is a trope, and you're probably familiar with it if you watch a lot of movies, of the bury your gays, which is, if you watch enough movies with, you know, LGBTQ plus characters, they tend to be the ones who get killed, you know, and it's a trope I think a lot of people are trying to move away from. They are not there to be your sacrifice. Yeah. And this movie really, it's clumsy in the way it says that this gay couple, because their love is so beautiful, they're the ones chosen to sacrifice one another. And it's
some
like
sort of god-like thing that's going to end the world if they don't choose which one they'll die between them and their adoptive daughter. And the movie
specifically says it's because their love is so pure, whereas the book never says that. It's kind of random. I also have an issue with both book and movie that really upsets me. I really hate this Christianity, at least in American, like, Western culture, is overly pervasive. Like, there's an actual giant cross on our hill. That would not work if it was a Star of David or if it was a pentagram. I don't like how in this movie, the book and the movie, they instantly assume it's a Christian god.
Yeah.
And me, being Wiccan, my first fucking question would be, is who's asking for the sacrifice? Who's asking?
Yeah, nobody ever straight up asks that question.
Nobody asks who's asking. And if it is a god, fuck them. Do you really want to play into the hands of a god that's that evil?
Yeah, right.
Fuck them. What if they get bored and they ask for another sacrifice tomorrow? What if it's not a god? What if it's aliens? What if this is like Under the Dome?
Or an evil demon or some shit.
What if it's a demon testing
ancient
you?
ones, like in Cabin in the Woods.
What if it's a simulation?
Yeah.
What if it's the government? I hate that nobody in the book or movie asks who is asking, and I hate that they don't challenge it.
Yeah.
The only pushback they give is maybe your visions are not actually real.
Yeah.
Maybe you're crazy.
The four of you are
The only
some
pushback
sort of
they
crazy...
give is maybe you guys are crazy. I think because obviously they're very devout, I would believe them, but instead of telling them maybe you're crazy, I would say, who's asking you to do this? And I hate that nobody in the book or movie asks that question.
Exactly. Like, that'd be like, why does your God want that? Why does your God want to kill something that's so pure love? Why? What is
like
that?
Brandon said, the old ones in Cabin, like, I love that, where she's like, maybe, her last line, maybe somebody new needs to take charge.
Exactly.
Maybe we shouldn't give in to the whims of evil gods.
Exactly. And it's so, in a sense, like that Old Testament or whatever, the Bible, like, where they used to have to kill goats to make God happy, and then I guess when Jesus finally died, they didn't have to do that anymore or something. I don't know, but it's
maybe
just...
Maybe we're not given to a God that's like a temper tantrum.
Exactly, that's going to be that bitter and angry. Like, I don't know, like, is the God in this, like, homophobic?
And like I
don't know.
I don't need it to adhere to my worldviews. I just want people to ask these questions.
Exactly, ask the questions. Like,
ask the question. That's all I'm asking.
You can make a great movie about any type of religious entity. I don't care. Just... there should be, like, in this particular situation, someone should be asking some questions.
I don't like how everybody instantly assumes Christian God.
Christian God, it has to be, right? What other...
Because I'd be like, okay, aliens, government, simulation. Aliens. I would want to know.
Exactly.
I would not. I absolutely wouldn't sacrifice someone in my family. Not because... just because I wouldn't want to give in to any of those domineering forces.
I feel like both stories should have asked more questions. Though I will say, I haven't read the book, but from you've told me why and like enough about it, I feel like the characters' ultimate decisions in both the book and movie makes sense to how it played out. Like you said, there's a lot of different changes and events.
There's a significant change from the book and movie, which I would say in the movie it makes sense, and the book it makes sense.
Exactly. I feel like their final like decision is satisfying for what they went through.
But I definitely do think this is a return to form for M. Night. Beautiful camera work, amazing performances, and like I said, this is a solid 3.5, verging on 4-star film.
Yeah. That
I think you should check out.
Yeah, I gave it whatever, 3.5, 4.
I gave it whatever.
I gave it 4. Yeah, there we go. I thought it was good. not his best, but
Well, that's
certainly
fine.
better. Yeah, do it.
That 3.5 for you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm running out of movies.
It's fine. Pick one.
You're fine.
Pick something that's cool.
You're cool. So this is fun.
I love this
I don't
movie.
know if you guys follow our channels. I read books to Danny at night.
Yeah. Sometimes I listen to other audiobooks. Sometimes I'll pick up and read. Like Sandra Peterson's book, I read that. My friend Ronnie Angels, I straight up read that. But I love when my wife will read me to sleep. So,
Mr. Flickster A, one on my book club video on my channel, we did a book to movie comparison. But I'm a huge Amanda the Jedi fan.
about to say, you're a big fan of
I'm
Amanda
glad
the
you
Jedi.
shouted her out.
and I'm a huge Barbara Crampton fan and a huge Joe Lynch fan. So I really liked Suitable Flesh. And also, once we had H.P. Lovecraft, we were talking about that with Batman earlier. And you read me the short or whatever something on the porch.
Very
What was it
loosely
called?
based on the Thing on the Doorstep
Thing on the Doorstep.
by
That's
H.P.
right.
Lovecraft.
They kind of gender bend some of the characters.
They gender bend a lot of them.
Yeah, basically,
All of
I think they gender bend all the characters. They just switched them all up.
It's loosely based on it, but the essential idea. So, Suitable Flesh is the new Joe Lynch joint. I'm making that a thing.
Joe Lynch
I love
joint.
that we got Barbara Crampton in this because she loves herself some Lovecraft. Obviously, she's done Reanimator. She's
Castle
done From
Freak.
Beyond. She's done Castle Freak. Woman loves herself some Lovecraft.
She's just great for Lovecraft.
But yeah, so basically all the female characters in this were male in the book. But the book, it's wrong to even call it a book. It's like a novella.
Yeah, short.
I feel like this one kind of explores the sexuality of it more and the friendship of it more. Honestly, I'm going to say it. The movie's better than the book.
I agree. I think they did better than the source material.
I'm also all about that Heather Graham songs.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Heather Graham's been coming back in movies right now, guys.
Graham's
It's the
rad.
Heather Graham songs.
Rad. Yeah, I liked a lot of this. I like the gore. I like the sexuality. I love the
The
humor.
young guy who was in The Babysitter, he's so good in this.
Mm-hmm. He's got a thing
Essentially-
for older blondes, that's for sure. That actor's getting typecasted.
What you have in this movie, without spoiling too much, is a body swapping movie.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a woman who is a very good psychologist. She's great friends with Barbara Crampton, who's also a good psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
And Heather Graham's character becomes very obsessed with a new patient of hers, played by, forgive me, the guy from The Babysitter. Can't remember his flippin' name right now.
Sorry.
I'm going to get it for you right now. What's his name? Judah Lewis. He's great. So he comes in and he basically says that I think it's his father, is trying to steal his body. His father's an old man, played by the guy from Willard. Why can't I remember anyone's names today?
But it's not exactly his
Bruce
father.
Dern, I think. Anyway, he's trying to steal his body. And you can see the physical change take him when this old man swaps bodies with him. And now his mind is inside this young man's body. Heather Graham's character becomes obsessed. And unfortunately, if you're around this too much, eventually this entity, which is not even this old man, it sets its sights on a new body.
Yeah, it's the kid's name's Asa, and he's like my dad, but he's not really even my dad.
Like
Somebody
his
basically
dad's body had been taken.
Yeah, so he doesn't even know what happened to his actual dad's soul.
And then you have Heather Graham knee deep in this, and then she goes to Barbara Crampton's character, and it's just hard to get people to believe them. Plus, they only get swapped so many times before it's permanent.
And then, yeah, exactly, you get like 3 times until it's
And a
forever.
great cast. You also have Jonathan Skate in this, or I mispronounced that.
They're basically using like this Necronomicon type H.P. Lovecraft book to do a body switching spell. But yeah, and it's just once you're kind of pulled in, and once you do believe, it's usually too late. It's almost like the Blob. Once it touches you, you're stuck.
Or even The Grudge. Just,
Yeah.
Like you're kind of fucked once it's in your world.
Exactly. So, and it's cool. There's like a body you have to completely destroy the body the way they're doing it.
Make paste.
Yeah, make it like nothing left, because
And-
even a corpse will come back with this demon soul thing inside of it, and like even you can.
That's what's scary about it.
You can
is
get stuck in a demon.
The
like a
body could be
corpse.
like a puddle. It could swatch bodies with you, and then you're trapped in that puddle, but you're alive and sentient, even though the body is dead.
Yeah, so like that's where your soul.
You could be buried alive, and the body could be like a skeleton, and it could swap bodies with you, and you'll be stuck there.
So you gotta like kill
Just
it.
truly horrifying.
Yeah, that's where the souls end up. They end up stuck in like random corpses.
But, this movie has its tongue firmly implanted in its cheek. It has such a good time. It relishes the concept, which is all due to Joe Lynch. She just has a fantastic, dark sense of humor. It's sexy, which is kind of fucked up to say. Heather Graham is older than me, dude. She's like in her like 50s now?
Well, the
40s?
kid from The Babysitter, right?
And they have a sex scene, but it's like they still, like, I don't know, you believably believe that that's not a really young guy. I mean,
he has an old demon soul inside of it or something, but
yeah, the movie's a little horny, but it's kind of sexy and it's gory when it needs to be. It's shocking when it needs to be. It's also the whole aesthetic of this kind of reminds me of those direct-to-video 90s films. Like The Dentist.
Yeah,
those sleazy 90s direct-to-video films.
It has like it's filmed almost like it's an episode of Tales from the Crypt.
Yes.
Like but they're like intentionally going for that, and I like that about it. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's not that way because of lack of budget. It's like intentionally trying to be that.
They're definitely trying to give you
so
that
like
feel.
This movie is just like beautifully sleazy to put it no other way.
Exactly. It's
Love
like
it.
it's high class porn.
I want to say high class sleaze.
Yeah, okay, sleaze, because it's not exactly porn, but it's high class raunch.
Yes. But it's like we were talking about on my channel about Kill Her Goats. It's not enough to just have that.
No,
you have to have a great story and great horror.
No,
and
this
that movie,
is great.
it delivers.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you like to go next?
Cocaine Bear.
Where'd it go?
Right there. Alright, so on Gories, we ended it with my least favorite movie of last year was Cocaine Shark, a blatant ripoff of bullshit that was capitalizing on this awesome, fun movie called Cocaine Bear.
This movie is so freaking weird. It has like moments where it's strangely dark, but this movie is a lot of fun. I'm sad that the real Cocaine Bear did not get to live beyond snuffing a lot of cocaine.
You can find his stuffed body somewhere. They have
Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
But I do feel like this is like kind of, it's justice for Cocaine Bear. It's what could have happened.
What we wish would have happened.
What I love about this movie, and I talked about this a lot in a lot of reviews I've done on creature features of this sort, where it's a killer bear or killer shark. What's awful about movies like Jaws, and yes, I know it's a wonderful movie. I know it's a masterpiece.
It is.
But that movie has led to so many sharks being murdered because it demonized the shark. And unfortunately, animals are not like that. Animals don't have hatred. Animals don't have revenge.
They don't. Jaws the Revenge.
They're just animals. And even sharks are not that interested in killing us unless they're starving, we're injured, whatever.
And they kill, a handful of us a year? We kill millions of them a year?
Millions of them. We're the bad guys.
Go watch Eli Ross Finn if you can.
Yeah. Same thing with bears. I've seen so many movies where, like Grizzly 2, where the bear is getting revenge. Animals don't know revenge.
Yeah.
If an animal sees you hurting its cub or its baby, it will attack you, but it's not going to hunt you down after the fact to get revenge. That's a human thing.
It might learn that you are dangerous and it won't like you, but it's not... It doesn't think the way we think.
Unfortunately, it's just not how animals are. Animals
it's not gonna.
are awesome.
It can't plot. It can recognize that you're dangerous, but it can't plot.
This movie is awesome because it fully recognizes that the bear is not the bad guy here. The bear is on a lot of cocaine, and the bear just wants more cocaine. So it's attacking people who smell like cocaine or who are just in its way. So the bear's just really fucking high right now.
It's coked up and it needs another fix.
But the movie does show you that it is just an animal. It's not killing out of hate because animals don't have hate.
No.
And I like that about this. I think one of the best creature features of this type is Cujo, where it really does a good job of putting you in the headspace of that animal. Where
it's got rabies and everything's
sick,
hurting it, like just noise and things hurt it.
And in all honesty, unless an animal is sick or affected by some kind of external influence, like cocaine, or in a movie like Prophecy, toxic waste, animals tend to want to stay the fuck away from us.
Yeah.
I love that, first and foremost. 2, the movie's fucking funny.
Yeah, the humor works, and also it's weird because it's so violent and over the top sometimes. But also, it almost feels like a fun little like kid adventure at points. Like there's these 2 kids, and they find some of the cocaine, and like, oh yeah, I've done the cocaine once on the streets and stuff. And like, it's just funny. It's almost wholesome. It's weird that I'm saying about 2 kids doing cocaine is wholesome.
I love it how he's like,
almost
oh yeah, I did tons of cocaine.
Yeah, this is, and then they both lick it, like the cocaine, and he's like, oh, this is nothing like the cocaine I've done before. Like, they don't even know how to do it. Like, they're just
Which
funny.
is, I mean, honestly reminds me a lot of, like, me and my friends trying to, like, showboat for each other. But it's fun. Our main guy is getting over a breakup, and he's kind of a sad sack. But, like, I love how they gave every character in this something to work with. Like,
Yeah,
there's another guy who's obsessed with this cat, and
There's
I just really liked it.
The park ranger, who she really wants to kind of like get laid in a sense. She wants to get, and everybody's messing up her day. She just wants to hit on this guy that she thinks is charming.
Girl, get you some.
And like everyone is just in her way, and she's so annoyed by it.
The little boy in this, Mr. Flickster mentioned, he's so good. He's also in Sweet Tooth.
Yeah. He is.
He's really good. I think everyone's great in this. Really
well
fun
casted.
cast. Carrie Russell's in it. I really loved the whole cast. It's really
the
fun.
cop with his dog.
And that's the thing. Like, what I love about this is even the minor characters in this have something to do. There's no throwaway characters. It's also, I think, one of the last movies of Ray Liotta.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, it was like his second to last movie, I think. And
But yeah, even our mobster guys, like, you understand where they're coming from. Even the most despicable character in this, he wants to deliver what he's supposed to deliver, the drugs, because otherwise they'll come after his family. They'll come after his grandchild. So, like, I feel like they did a good job of giving every character a motivation and a goal.
even though like the little like wannabe posse like have things to talk about, like there's parts to them. They're not completely one note.
It's better characterization than we see in a lot of these kind of movies. And like I said, my biggest applause goes to characterization of the bear. It's an animal. It's not evil. It's not hateful. Animals are not like that. But that doesn't mean the animals can't be scary.
Yeah, and they even talk about it, like, don't worry, a bear wouldn't do that. But they're like, wait, this bear's, like, that's just because they know better. It's not, they're not going around going, it's the devil bear. As much as I love that.
But yeah, I also love that, like, it's very R-rated. The violence is over the top. There's some action sequences in this that are over the top. There's
even little baby cocaine bears.
It's insane. This movie's insane.
Like, it has
it's
all the
a
emotions,
trip.
all the feelings.
It's a lot of fun. This is what I would categorize as a beer and pizza kind of movie. Invite a bunch of your buddies over.
A few lines. I mean, no, maybe, I don't know.
Order some pizza, order your beverages of choice, and have a good time.
Exactly.
It's also the kind of movie that you guys can be playing cards or something and
Exactly.
half watch and still fully enjoy yourselves.
Exactly. So, good party movie, but with a lot more...
Yeah, it's a party movie.
Yeah, but with a lot more depth than you'd expect.
Surprisingly, like I said, I like the characterization in this. I like that they didn't half-ass it.
There's like a cop who just like, you want him to like live and make it so he can get back to his little dog. Just there's all kinds of things.
And even that's cute because he didn't want the dog, but now he loves the dog.
He's like, I didn't ask for this dog.
Because it's like a foofy dog.
It's like, but I want it to be happy and take care of my dog, please. It's there's heartwarming, wrenching things.
I just really love
Everybody has something that they want, and you want them all to have it. But unfortunately,
honestly,
Cocaine Bear.
We have a lot of dumb comedies with shit basic characterization. This is a lot smarter than most comedies are.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Bravo.
And even my friend who professes to me all the time, which as a movie fan is hard to hear, I don't watch stuff. She saw this on a date at the movie theater with her husband and she loved it.
We went on a double date with my sister and her husband, so.
Yeah, dude.
Good times.
Yeah, anything on yours? You have all these movies that are not horror movies in yours. It's very upsetting.
Hold on. I'm going to talk about that real quick.
This?
Yeah, why not?
I didn't see it.
Scary Girl. Weird ass title. It's all one word. She lives in this weird universe. I don't know why it's called Scary Girl. Nobody's actually afraid of her. She's not mean or scary. She has a tentacle arm and a hook hand. So, I don't know. She's lives in a world that's pretty creepy because when she goes to the city to try and get back her octopus dad, because he was kidnapped and he's like this magical octopus, I don't know why he's a magical octopus. I mean, I do know because I've seen the ending, but it's just kind of a weird setting. She teams up with a rabbit and an egg, a sentient egg that's cracked and therefore it's injured, and they want to get it to a hospital. But the city is scary because apparently tentacles is like a high expensive delicacy, so people kind of want to do bad things to her.
Like hentai?
No, they I guess want to chop her up and do something with it. I don't know. Tentacles are magical in this world, so they want her magical tentacle and they want to cut her off her arm and stuff. But I don't know why it's called Scary Girl. She's goth, but nobody ever is afraid of her, and she's not mean. Anyways, it's a cute little film, and it's got cute little messages. I'd watch it with your youngsters.
I'll have to check that out, my love.
Mm-hmm.
How about this one?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're getting into 4-star territory, guys. This is one I'm excited to talk to you guys about. So very rarely do I just rent a movie. Like, I'm like, that's it. I don't need to see a trailer. Just put it in my eyeballs. This one I heard the premise and I'm like, yep, click, buy. And then I told Danny, guess what we're doing tonight? We're watching this movie. I don't give a crap if you have plans. Because that's marriage. So this movie, I heard it was kind of like, they kind of utilized the premise of 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, it's almost a parody of that, almost.
The initial beginning of
Yeah.
it. Just like the first 15 minutes. So this girl meets a guy on a dating app. They go out, and he's shy and charming, and she's friendly and warm.
They hit it off pretty well.
They hit it off pretty well, and then they go home together. They spend the night together. The next day, a man in a dog suit, and he's already mentioned he has a dog. This isn't a dog. It's a man in a dog suit comes into the room, and he's like, you have to treat Frank, the man in the dog suit, like a dog. You have to.
He takes it seriously, like it's his life. He identifies.
And so you're like, oh crap, what happens if you don't?
Yeah.
And she's freaked the fuck out. She accepts a ride home, but then she's like, I never want to talk to that fucking weirdo again. And then her friend says, but dude, he's super rich. Didn't you know he's super famous and super rich? That's kind of the Christian Grey 50 Shades part of it. And that's where it ends. That's the extent of it.
Instead of
BDSM, he has a man in a dog costume.
Yeah.
And so her friend convinces her to go out with this guy again. I mean, the way she convinces her, she's like, we just don't understand it. And there is a thing of like puppy play and furries and stuff where it's completely harmless. So her friend convinces her, like, don't be narrow-minded. Mm-hmm. There are different ways of living in this world. I mean, her friend's really just like, he's rich. But she does convince her on the argument of, hey, there's different ways of living. This isn't necessarily a scary thing.
Yeah.
So she keeps going out with this guy, and he has this guy, Frank, this dog, who will lick her, sniff her. And I don't know about you guys, but I've always been kind of creeped out by, like, mascots, because you can't see their fucking eyes. Yeah. Like, it creeps me out. You guys ever watch Teletubbies? Swear to God, I was watching that with my mom, and I'm like, Mom, what is a Dipsy, the green one, doing in his suit? It looks like he's playing with his tallywhacker. Sure enough, that guy got fired because he was playing with his tallywhacker. It's creepy. People in costumes are creepy. Right. Not as creepy as mimes, but goddamn close. So that's why I had to see this movie, because it is so creepy. You do not know what is going on inside this costume, and it's such a good costume, too, because you can't see the eyes. You can't see the expression, but you know there's a human being. Human beings have complex emotions, complex motivations inside there. And so you're like, what's going to happen? Is she going to treat it like a human and it's going to attack her? What's going on here? Why is it living with this man? And the man says...
She gets some answers as she goes, but, I mean, it's a mystery. Like,
the man says it was a childhood friend who eventually said, I've decided to live my life as a dog.
And
he's a rich eccentric, so he's able to fund this.
He said, when I was young, he was there for me. Like, he was my friend. Like, he was a very loyal, good friend to me. So even though I don't get his choice of lifestyle, I'm there for him. Like, I'm rich. I can easily take care of him as a dog.
And so you can see that this woman thinks, okay, maybe this is weirdos finding weirdos, and I need to be open-minded. Like, you can tell she's a very caring, trying to be accepting person. I don't want to spoil any of this for you. I will say there's a moment in the third act where you're like, crap. We're going into very familiar territory here, which sucks because this is such a cool premise. But don't worry. Stick with it.
The
Because
very
that
end.
ending is gold.
The very ending turns it all back around. When you first told me about this, I'm like, it sounds like Wilfred the TV show meets Tusk. like this guy lives with someone who, like, you know, is an animal, but it's really a human. But like,
The ending of this is gold, and honestly, it's so rare to find something truly original. I watch a lot of horror movies, but like I tell people who tell me, why do you watch horror movies when they're all the same? I say, you know, there is a lot the same, but when you watch enough of them, you find something completely unique, and only in horror do I find that. You know, I never see a romantic comedy that's completely unique or an action movie that's completely unique.
those usually tend to be mostly the same.
It could be because I don't want to watch enough of them, but I watch
that's
enough
true.
horror, and every so often I see something I've never seen before.
And I feel like
This is something I've never seen before.
I like horror because it's a genre that can have everything. It can have romance. It can have tragedy, sadness. What?
Just try up a little bit.
Oh. I don't know. I thought you said turn it off. Yeah, it can have anything. It can have sci-fi. It can have all kinds of things in horror. But
And that's what makes horror so surprising.
fantasy.
It's so marriable with so many other genres, be it comedy, romance, mystery,
You can put any of
science
them in.
fiction.
Some movies have a good chunk of almost all of them, you know, so.
And it can be used metaphorically to talk about so many human experiences.
Yeah, and sometimes our life is so horrible
think,
as it is. We like.
This is a foreign film. I can't remember. I'll look it up for you really quick what country it's from, but it is definitely unique. I wish they had pushed that premise just a little bit farther.
Norwegian.
It's Norwegian, but definitely check it out. I rented it on Amazon Prime for less than $4, so it's not available on Blu-ray or DVD, but you can get it on Amazon Prime. So absolutely check that out. It is worth the rental.
The third act, like you said, it starts off a little like, but then by the end of the third act, you're like, okay, I'm back on board with how this went.
All right, where are we going next?
What have we not done?
Lots.
Yeah, why not?
This one was surprising.
Alright, so I mean, I heard a lot of good about this. A lot of people were like, okay, it's not the best Saw movie, but it's the best one in a long time. That's what most people seem to think. But there's obviously some people who hate Saw movies, and this is no exception. Written and kind of like made by the same person who did the last 3 Saw movies, right? Like, he did Jigsaw and
It's a different person.
I thought it was made by some of the same
It's
people.
directed by Kevin Grunhart, who did, I guess he did Saw 5 and Saw 3D.
Oh, I mean, not directed. I thought it meant written is what I...
And it was written by Josh Stahlberg, who
Yeah,
did Spiral
exactly.
and Jigsaw.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was written by the same one who did the last 2.
And Lee Winnell, or no.
But it's a lot different than the last
this guy. So the same team that wrote Spiral and Jigsaw.
Yeah, so they've done the last 3 together, and they're all fairly different, but they're all, you know, Saw movies. It's cool. This one does a better job of kind of making us root for Jigsaw. I mean, he's still a horrible person, keep that in mind, but this one got us kind of cheering on him, where I think a lot of the other movies try to do that too, but they weren't as successful as this one. Because obviously there's some evil people in this universe, and this time Jigsaw is punishing evil people. So, I don't know, it was fun. I enjoyed it. It wasn't perfect. There was, you know, a weird CGI dream sequence I didn't personally need, but yeah, overall, I enjoyed. I mean, Jigsaw's always amazing.
I feel like
the
this
character.
movie succeeded where Don't Breathe 2 failed.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's so hard to make a villain sympathetic or even an anti-hero.
Yeah.
I think Don't Breathe 2 was extra hard because they were dealing with somebody who's also a rapist, which
Yeah,
good
Jigsaw.
luck with that. But Jigsaw, I think what makes Jigsaw fascinating is Jigsaw truly believes that they are helping people.
Mm-hmm.
He truly believes that.
Yeah.
Even though we know, oh, honey, you're not really helping that many people. The way you're going about this is kind of fucked up.
He has a god plan.
And I like that this movie even explores how the games aren't even really that fair. Because he doesn't test them.
No.
He can't really test them on living people. So, like, they're not really that fair. And at one point, I like that there's a part where he was even thinking about giving up on the games completely. Like, if he actually got a cure. And I think one of the ways, kind of how Don't Breathe 1 did it, is one of the ways to make a complicated hero sympathetic
yeah.
is have a worse villain.
Exactly.
So in Don't Breathe, you find out the blind guy is really fucking gross.
Yeah.
And in this, you find out the people who duped him into this place to get treatment are horrible.
Yeah, preying
so
off desperate
I love
people.
that. Even I love the little kid, and that kid has so much heart.
Yeah.
It's a little convenient that the word he taught him is the word he needs.
And he's kicking the ball out there right when he shouldn't be.
Yeah,
There's
but
some conveniences. And
for a Saw movie, this has a surprising amount of heart, and it was honestly one of the best ones in a long time.
Exactly, I agree. I think it was one of the better sequels. There's a lot of Saw movies, and this is towards the top, I guess. So, yay.
This was fun and surprising, and I'm actually looking forward to Saw 11, which is supposed to continue the story from this one, even bringing back the villain from this one. So, I, for one, will be checking that out. And I think one of the things that they figured out that was smart about this was setting it when Jigsaw was still alive, because he's the draw. Mm-hmm. He is an interesting character. He has interesting motivations, and one of the biggest mistakes this franchise made was killing him off in part 3.
Yeah, for the fact that they were going to go that far, because, I mean, I think when they kind of started, they're like, a trilogy. Oh, never mind, 6 movies. Never mind. Tons of movies. But they didn't really plan ahead, unfortunately, for how many movies they were going to make, so they killed him off way too quick. I mean, if there had only ended up being like 3 movies, yeah, that would have been fine, but there's more than 10 now. Spin-offs and whatnot. When evil lurks.
Point.
When evil lurks. There we go.
This is another one that flew under the radar, I think, for a lot of people.
It's weird,
but oh my gosh, I know people who are hardened horror fans that threw up watching this.
Yeah.
I will say I never really have an outward reaction watching movies because I've seen it all. I mean, I've seen Serbian film. I've seen a lot of shit. It's really hard to get a reaction out of me, like an audible reaction. Oh, yeah. There was a part of this where I was like, holy shit! So, if you've seen the movie, it's the dog scene. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, that came out of fucking nowhere. So this movie is really a unique possession movie. And I will say possession movies are a subgenre of horror that I'm really kind of sick of. Mm-hmm. But I'm always excited to see something done in a new way. And so this movie's interesting because you have these 2 brothers who hear a gunshot out in the woods. Yeah. And then they find a dead body and they trace it to the nearest house. And you find out that their son is this guy who's like a gelatinous blob. He's covered in pustules and is just disgusting.
He's got
his mother says he's possessed by a demon, but it's a very unique demon. It's something they're all familiar with in their culture. Mm-hmm. You cannot use a gun on it, or it will possess you.
You can't even spill its blood in a sense.
You cannot hurt it. Mm-hmm. The only way to really get rid of it is to call a cleanser, which has a special device, and they called one, and that's the guy who was shot in the woods. Somebody killed that person before they got there. But basically, if you have this person who's possessed around, then it will infect those around it. Yeah. It's especially children are especially vulnerable.
Yeah, it's a possession movie, but not as much as like some of the ones we were talking about on your channel with our worst movies, like the Catholic possession type, movies where they need an exorcism of some sort. This is a little more closer to Evil Dead possession. Not quite. It's still unique in its own way, but it's closer to that. But yeah, it's like this sickness that gets the ground. Basically, it's a curse, and it curses the land, and you don't want to spread this curse.
So it's like part virus movie, part possession.
Yeah, it's like this evil that just spreads like a pandemic.
But the reason to watch this movie is it has jaw-dropping horror.
Oh, yeah.
Just truly, this is the kind of movie that's going to be too much for a lot of people. It has violence against children. Nobody's safe.
Yeah, nobody.
Violence against children, violence against animals.
Self-inflicted,
hurting
those you
love.
love.
The woman on the poster, she's going to axe herself in the head. Mm-hmm. It's really, really intense. It also has a great story between 2 brothers and their relationship. It's horrific, and it's on Shudder. This is definitely one to watch if you haven't seen it.
It has like, I guess it gives you what you kind of wished the happening would have been. Like,
A little bit.
Like, the happening wasn't good, but it teased, like, something that could have been good.
If you're afraid of creepy children, extreme body horror.
Yeah.
If things like pus, vomit, eating people upsets you, these are all the reasons. I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, this movie is gag-inducing. It's a lot. This movie is a lot.
I'm not good with pus.
It's a tragedy. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's emotionally tormenting, especially if you're a parent.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you are a kid, an adult, a kid on the spectrum. It doesn't matter. You are not safe. Like, it's going.
Nobody
everyone
is
in danger.
safe.
Everyone's in danger.
This movie has no mercy.
Yeah.
No, it's a no mercy movie. So if you're looking for a movie that does not hold its punches, a movie that is brutal, a movie that will deliver true horror, especially body horror, in a way that is rarely seen, this is the movie for you. It's also from the same people who brought us Terrified, which is another great movie that came out a while ago. This movie is really pushing boundaries, and if you really want to be scared or at least grossed out and shocked, this movie's going to do that.
Yep, definitely. I got sick of seeing everybody's thumbnails. Yeah. All right, there we go. Let's jump into a holiday classic, a new holiday classic, because we didn't have really had a good iconic one for this holiday. We've had some movies Rocky movies take place on Thanksgiving, but
I've been waiting for this movie for a long time. Case in point, on my wall is Planet Terror, which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
They teased it.
Love that movie, and it had a mock trailer for Thanksgiving. And I'm of the unpopular opinion that I love Eli Roth, even though I think Knock Knock sucked. And not all of his movies hit for me, but I just love him. His love for the genre. He is a true horror historian. Like, as a person, I just really love him. And I really like him. Unpopular opinion. I think he's fantastic.
When they do those In Search of Darknesses, he's one of the most, like, informative people
so
that they
eloquent.
talk to on that. Yeah, like, you could tell he does love horror. He's done
and
all of his research.
knowledgeable.
Exactly. He knows. I would love to be on
and I think he seems like a genuinely nice guy.
I think he is a great guy.
But I truly love Eli Roth. Unpopular opinion. I think he's fantastic. And Thanksgiving, this was a lot of fun because, I mean, I will say, okay, so as a whodunit movie, I called this one pretty fucking early on, and I know from some other people's reviews that that's not an uncommon thing. Though we were watching in the movie theater, and I could hear other people in the audience giving their guesses, and they were fucking wrong.
No.
So I don't think it's super obvious.
Plus, the killer is fairly smart. There's a part where they'll, like, straight up change their costume and mask. Just because, haha.
What I love about this is I love using the mythology of Thanksgiving. So they've got John Carver, and they've got Plymouth, and they're really utilizing, in the same way that My Bloody Valentine utilized Valentine's Day myths with, this town that was, like, obsessed with Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the mask. But the best reason to watch this is the kills are next level.
Oh, yeah. Really, really creative, fun slasher kills. Like, it's been a while since slashers were always creative like that. Like, that was the reason to watch, like, in the 80s. You have all these crazy creative kills, and I like that Eli goes that way with his slashers. Like, yeah, let's
this time he loves him, too. Okay?
Exactly.
I'm not alone. I always feel like whenever I say I love Eli Roth, like, I love Eli Roth.
I don't know who you're talking to. Most people I know seem to like Eli Roth.
I feel like people tend to shit on him a lot.
I don't know. Maybe some people go hard, but I think Eli Roth's a great guy.
Especially lately, like, they tease there's a new director for Scream, and a lot of people are like, oh, I hope it's not Eli Roth. I'm like,
I
like Eli Roth.
I certainly wouldn't mind being mentored by the guy. I think he makes great horror movies and he knows what he's doing. I know he's very random. A lot of people used to give him, like, shit for being really weird and random, especially, like, his first movie, Cabin Fever, obviously, but...
And I think we can love somebody, like we talked about M. Night Shyamalan. I think even if a person has a dud, I still love those directors who swing for the fences. I love M. Night because he swings for the front fences. Doesn't mean I love all of his movies. No, The Happening's stupid. And Old was stupid. enjoyable. It's stupid. But Eli Roth swings for the fences. Honestly, unpopular opinion, I don't really like Cabin Fever. I didn't like Avalanche.
I like Cabin Fever.
But I love him as a... Oh my god, I didn't like Knock Knock.
I like Knock Knock, but whatever.
But I love him as a filmmaker. I love him, like, just as a horror fan. He is so, like, well-spoken. And I really like him.
Yeah.
I liked this movie.
Like I said, I wouldn't mind being mentored by him. I would love to be on one of his sets and just learn from the guy. Like,
just watch interviews
love
with
to
the
pick
man.
his brain,
think he's terrific. I love the history of horror on Shudder that he did. It was so good.
Exactly.
Vicente mentions that it's a true homage to 80s slashers, and I agree.
Exactly.
See, we talked about Kill Her Goats over on my channel, and that movie was trying to homage 80s slashers, but it just did, like, the nudity part, and there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
It was also, like, this, like, complete lack of giving a shit what other people thought.
And I watched tons of 80s slashers, to be honest. Not all of them are just about boobs. There's a lot of them that don't have any.
And this movie does that. It doesn't give a shit what's gonna offend people. Like, it's got cannibalism, and it's got really awful graphic kills. There's a Black Friday scene, which should have been how Black Friday was done.
It does Black Friday better than Black Friday. I love Bruce Campbell, but...
The gooiness, the gore... and we've got terrific performers in here. We've got Patrick Dempsey, McDreamy himself. We've got Gina Gershon. We've got a lot of people in this. The other thing people hated on about this movie was that Addison Timelson, I guess she's a TikTok person. She was in He's All That.
Okay.
She's a tiny part of this.
Oh, yeah. She was the TikToker from that as well.
She's one of the friends, and honestly, she's perfectly cast in this. She's just one of the young... The kids in this movie, with the exception of our main character... are supposed to be kind of insensitive about, like, other people and their feelings and stuff like that. And this whole thing starts because it's Black Friday.
Yeah.
They know somebody, so they get into the store first, and they're taunting the masses of people outside.
And it was that point in time, like, in a sense, where Black Friday was taking over Thanksgiving. Now that, like, Black Friday starts usually, like, even a whole month. Like, it's just a month of November, usually.
Now it's mostly online.
Exactly. Most people are doing their shopping online, and, like, the sales start at the beginning of the month. So...
Agreed, Brandon. That's the one I actually really, really love, House of the Clock and Its Walls. I love Eli Roth.
Yeah.
Also, the man's dead sex suit. Which you shouldn't be offended by, because I think you kind of look like him.
I don't know about that, but I don't take it as an insult, for sure.
But, yeah, I love Eli Roth. I love his just no-holds-barred splatter approach, but I feel like he also has a great respect for the genre. I think he's incredibly
got a soft
intelligent.
spot in his heart for cannibals, of course. So.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I feel like this is going to be an annual watch for me. And there was a spot kind of missing in that Thanksgiving. I mean, we had Blood Rage. But, yeah, I think this really filled that niche of needing a Thanksgiving horror movie.
Yeah, the ones we have aren't great. So there we
go. Definitely not Thanksgiving.
No.
So, yeah. Bravo. I am so excited we're getting a second one.
Remember the weird one with the turkey
Though I'm
head?
not very happy with the studio that's producing it, who did Scream.
Yeah, but
they're upsetting me right now.
That's the studio to be, not this movie.
That's not Eli Roth. It's just Spyglass. I'm not happy with Spyglass right now, but I am still happy we're getting a Thanksgiving too.
Yeah. So.
And
I'm glad we finally got the first one. I mean,
just give
they
Eli
teased
Roth
it so long ago.
all the work. I think my favorite Eli Roth films. I love Hostel 2. I love Hostel. I love The Green Inferno. He's just wonderful.
Yeah. I mean,
and Finn. If you guys haven't seen Finn, it's about...
We were talking about that shark.
It's so good. Check that out. It's a documentary, but it's really good. Eli Roth's incredible.
Change your perspective on sharks. If you have a negative one, I think it'll change it.
How this one?
Yeah. All right.
All right. This is another one that's really, really good. If it flew under your radar, check it out. So this is by Brandon Cronenberg, right?
Yeah, him and his dad both came out with movies.
Brandon Cronenberg is a weird duck, but he was raised by David Cronenberg. So, I mean...
Which got a David Cronenberg movie this year, too. So.
What did we expect?
Right?
So, yeah, Brandon Cronenberg made this, and this is so fucking weird. It goes into a lot of dark places. Now, I will say his last movie, Possessor, I really liked it. I didn't like it as much as everybody else did.
It's a violent sci-fi. It wasn't much even a horror. It was just really violent sci-fi with some obviously body and mind kind of horror in there. Because there's a Cronenberg. Of course, it's going to have that kind of stuff.
But this movie had a lot of that metaphor and social commentary, but it also had a lot of great body horror. Essentially, what happens in this is kind of like a commentary on like our rich upper class. Mm-hmm. So in this country, I can't remember where they are.
Oh, they're in. Aren't they in Turkey?
I think they are in Turkey.
Oh, never go to Turkey.
So in this country, you explain it.
Okay, so he kind of gets set up to, in a sense, where he's like drunk and driving, like hit and run, killed, and he's gonna get executed for it because you gotta have Turkey is a place where they have death penalties for a lot of things, and
Midnight Express.
Exactly, they have a lot of extreme penalties, but he's rich, and the people that kind of set up know he's rich, so it's all kind of a joke because they're going to kill his clone. And he's like, what? And yes, basically these rich people, when they get arrested for their crimes, they make a clone of them. Granted, there's some debate on who's really getting executed, the clone or the original person making the crime.
That's what's fucked up about it.
Because the clones don't know that they're not the clones. If they are, you never really know. And so there's a lot of this thing, but they since there's no punishment, really, they keep just doing horrible stuff. They're bored and they're just on vacation and they're tormented.
It's kind of about how that 1% has nobody keeping them in check. Mm-hmm. And it basically says somebody has to be punished.
Yeah.
And so they just clone themselves, but you don't know if it's actually them who's being executed or if it's the clone.
Exactly.
But the point is that it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
People just want to see someone hung for it. And I think it really calls into question things like cancel culture and stuff. Mm-hmm. We just want to see somebody punished. And people don't really ask, the real questions about, what happened.
It's almost like the whipping boy, the little entitled prince would do whatever he wanted, and they would whip one of his friends in front of him. It
doesn't matter how bad the crime is. If somebody's been punished for it, then we move on, but we don't actually ask questions like, what led to this?
Yeah.
How do we stop this? As long as someone's punished for it, let's just move on.
Exactly.
And it's creepy because, the way they're cloned in this pool of red goo, and just it really explores kind of the nastiness of human nature, the things people are capable of, from things like, being unfaithful to their spouse to casual cruelty. Mia Goth is incredible in this. She's just a powerhouse in herself.
Yeah, this movie, before she was kicking extras, made you not want to mess with her. She is a dangerous, scary person in this. And honestly, my take is they are killing the originals and the clones.
I think they are.
Because they almost seem less human every time it happens. There's less humanity in there. But I don't know.
I feel like
you can interpret it however you want.
For me, I really liked this even more than Possessor, just because I feel like there's so much to dig into. I'd love to just have this is the kind of movie you want to have a discussion about, who's the clone, who's the real one, mm-hmm. and is it enough just to have someone punished for it? We think about things like the death penalty, and is that justice? It doesn't stop it from happening again.
Right.
So is it enough that someone's punished? Or it has a lot of moral questions. And I like that Brandon Cronenberg's asking those questions. And I think that it's wonderful that he's not even providing us an answer. Mm. He's giving us a lot to chew on, but he's not preaching at us.
And also just kind of mob mentality and trying to fit in with some people will do some dirty things just to fit in. Yeah. And do the people do you really want to fit in with these people? Do they actually care about you, or are you just a toy to them too? There's so much going on, and it's so good.
There's so much in it about, because he's an author and stuff, and he kind of fools them into thinking he's more successful than he is. And the only character who's really authentic is his girlfriend or wife. I can't remember which it is. But yeah, just about authenticity, about being yourself, which is really funny in a movie that deals with cloning. So this movie really brings up a lot of interesting conversation points.
Exactly. I definitely recommend it. Cronenberg, keep making movies.
I think we watched the uncut version. I don't know. We rented it.
I'm pretty sure we did, but...
It was pretty intense.
Yeah. I don't know what we would have missed.
I think it did a good job of exploring the evils people can do when they're in a group of people who are doing evil.
Exactly. Like I said, you'll do some dirty things to fit in.
It's so much easier to push those boundaries when, like, you know, you're in a whole group of people who are doing evil shit, then you excuse it. Whereas,
exactly,
you know, if you were surrounded by moral people or if you were on your own, like they always say, like, people are crazy, but an individual can be smart.
During riots or war, people will do dark shit, and because they see everyone else kind of doing it too, and it's just easier to get sucked into it. It's just kind of how it is. A social experiment, society, morals just disappear. Is there anything that we might not have talked about? What about the other Cronenberg movie? Where's that at?
Which one? That wasn't this last year, was it?
Oh, was it at the end of the last year?
I think it was last year.
Okay. I know we originally reviewed them both, but it might have been the last one, yeah.
Yeah, let me pull up your list again. Because I know there are some movies, even though our stream is going very long, but yeah. We're thorough. We're giving you every movie we saw.
Yeah.
Alright, you got anything on here?
No. Go up.
Okay, I have more on mine.
Alright.
This one?
Yeah, let's do it.
So this is one we saw in the theater.
I love seeing this in the theater.
And this was such a cool pleasant surprise that they actually re-released it in black and white, which I haven't seen that, but I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. We wanted to make sure we voted with our dollar to see this, because our theater doesn't get everything all the time. We were actually a little surprised that our theater did get this. And what that
means, just to clarify, when you spend money on something, producers don't give a crap about your reviews on Letterboxd. They don't give a crap about your reviews on IMDb or Facebook or YouTube or whatever. But if you spend money on something, they care about that.
So we know our theater, to try and tell our theater we want more obscure horror movies that we don't always get in our small town, we go see them. Like we said it on your stream about Pooh, Blood and Honey. We went and saw it in theater just because that way when there's an obscure horror movie, they're more likely to get it. This one, I wanted to support that as well. They don't get a lot of foreign horror movies in our theater.
Wait, hold on a second. Zombie Tomb, what did I say? Tell me.
But I loved Godzilla -1. I feel like it is the first straight-up sequel to Gojira.
I loved this movie because, one, it had so many homages to great films. Like, there's parts of this that remind me of Jurassic Park. Mm-hmm. There were parts of this that remind me of Jaws.
Oh, yeah.
It was wonderful because it had great Godzilla action. I think one of the biggest complaints I've had with even Shin Godzilla, I know so many of you love that, I hated it. It didn't have enough Godzilla. And when we did see Godzilla, he looked fucking weird. This one, Godzilla looked incredible, and Godzilla is terrifying. But the other thing that's really cool about it is some of these Godzilla movies, it's just a lot of boardrooms and like, what should we do about the creature? This one, the human story was so good and so interesting and so unique. Like, you had these people kind of tied together. Like, it's a man and a woman, but they're not a couple. And they adopt a kid, but it's not their kid. And it's this kind of found family. And they love each other, but it's not even necessarily like a traditional thing. You just know that they love each other like a family. And it's so much deeper than even like a romance.
Yeah, they bonded together out of literally the dirt of war. Like, they came out of the rubble to hold each other up and start a life together.
Their ideals, like, this woman's willing to raise and care for this kid and risk her life for this kid, even though it's not her kid. Yeah. She doesn't know who this fucking kid is, because it's the right thing to do, and, like, it made her really heroic. And the fact that she's even willing to put her life on the line for this man. Mm-hmm. And this man, he feels so cowardly, because he faked his, he was supposed to be a suicide pilot, and he faked engine troubles because he didn't want to suicide bomb Pearl Harbor and whatnot. And he also feels bad that he didn't really pull the trigger on killing a T-Rexy-sized Godzilla that could have possibly saved his fellow, soldiers. He does. I don't think he would have. I think if those bullets wouldn't have stopped Godzilla, and he would have still died too. But he feels very cowardly. But he meets this woman who's willing to put her life on the line for strangers because it's the right thing to do, and I think it makes him more heroic, and he becomes the hero he wanted to be.
Yeah, she gives him more of that courage to be it. Plus, instead of like suicide, they're finding a way to live like for each other, to hold each other up, not die for each other, but to live for each other.
Like, it's so sad. The little baby, they raise it, and eventually it calls him, like, dad, and somebody's like, I'm not your dad.
I'm not your dad.
And you're just like, don't be a dick.
I know.
Be nice. But he hates himself so much for what he did. He won't allow himself to have love or romance or to feel the love of a child. He won't allow himself anything.
He has inner demons from war, and those inner demons are a giant walking lizard demon. So that is literally one.
It's so good. It gets to your feels. It has romance. It has horror. It's so Godzilla is so scary in this. There are so many great scenes. Godzilla. Oh my gosh, she's trapped in the train thing. It's so scary. And honestly, that's what I want. I'm not really into the Godzilla where it's like, he's our protector. He's keeping the
I like 60s, 70s Godzilla Toho-verse, but this is what I actually thought that we were going to get when we had the 2014 Godzilla. I thought it was going to be scary the way that they kind of advertised it. I thought it was going to be this big evil Godzilla, and that's not exactly what happened.
I'm talking more about the American ones. I'm looking forward to Godzilla vs. Kong, but not as much as some of the other ones.
Well, those are more remakes of those
the
old
last
Toho
one we had that was a sequel to the other American, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, Godzilla's our savior. He just killed a lot of people and destroyed a town. I just don't get it. And I like how this movie really is in line with, the original Gojira.
That's what I was saying.
Where it's kind of like a metaphor for the horror of war. Mm-hmm. The original one was kind of a metaphor for the horror of, the Hiroshima bomb and other things where it devastated, the entire country and how people had to recover from that. And this, too, it shows, how these things that happen from these, Godzilla attacks, completely just destroy whole cities.
Yeah.
And how people have to pick themselves up from just nothing and find a way to push forward.
Their complete way of life has been taken away from them, and they have to crawl out of the rubble and try and make a new life.
It's like the horror of a monster movie, the horror of war. I don't even like war movies, but if I like war movies, this is my war movie. And
like I was saying, it's a lot about the Gojira, because the original Gojira, if you didn't know, there was a Japanese cast and crew. They didn't want that for the American audiences back in the 50s, sadly, because they didn't think we would care, so they kind of remade it with having this male American reporter guy, and they insert him. You can tell his scenes are not shot with all the other scenes because they still just stole most of the footage from Gojira. But this movie proves...
I have a poster of that, though. It's right.
Yeah, I love both. I love Godzilla regardless, but I just think that was kind of a crappy reason to do it. Where this... Once again, this is a foreign movie, and I loved these characters. Come on, there's no reason why American audiences can't get attached to them.
Also, while we're here, I just want to shout out... hold on. I gotta look up the author really, really quick for you. I think I remember it, but I want to make sure. And
it borrowed from Jurassic Park and Jaws, like we were saying, but I think it was great homages to them, not it didn't let them down.
While we're here, if you were a Godzilla fan, what you need in your life, you need to read Godzilla's 12-Step Program by Joe Lansdale. Joe Lansdale is the person who wrote the story that Bubba Hotep was based on. Mm-hmm. He's hilarious. Pick up one of his short story collections, Godzilla's 12-Step Program. It's basically how Godzilla is this massive being. He can't help that walking home from work, he kills people by stepping on them by accident. But it talks about how he's in this 12-step program and he has to be really careful to not step on dogs or people.
Yeah, he's like, that dog's really barking at me and being really rude and annoying, but... just can't step on it.
He's in this 12-step group, and King Kong's in there, and everyone talks about how he's a weird pervert who has this Barbie doll that he's all obsessed with, and he's just the weird pervert.
Everybody hates Gamera.
They all hate Gamera.
Gamera.
Fuck Gamera. It's so fun, so definitely read that.
Yeah. But that scene, it was very much Jaws, and it's Godzilla's head, and he's chasing them on the boat, and there's no way no one on that boat didn't shit themselves, because that is such a scary scene. I would be like, what?
And Zombies Team says, please mention the American lead. They added that added to Gojira's name, Steve Martin. Yeah, the reporter guy is Steve Martin.
Yeah. All right.
Wow, we've done so many movies.
Got a couple left here.
We have more than a couple left.
Let's get them.
Get them.
Get them.
I'm getting kind of loopy. We've talked about so many movies. How about, are we ready for that?
Yeah, we're ready for that. Y'all ready for this? Bum, 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 bum,
this is my list.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this one?
Yeah. Do it.
All right.
Do it. Don't be a pussy. Do it.
Who you call a pussy?
Megan!
So this was a rare January drop that was actually really good. I also want to shout out, we are new recruits, but big lovers of Halloween Horror Nights in California, and the Blumhouse show was so fun. They had a whole bunch of girls doing like the Megan dance and dressed up like it was so fun. So Megan is one of those movies where I thought it was kind of like the Child's Play remake, which I didn't like that in principle, but I feel like it really made use of that premise of this kind of AI doll. What I love about Megan is it's initially about the programming. Megan is created and programmed to be a child's best and last friend they will need. And it's Megan's job to not just protect her child physically from harm, but emotionally. Yeah. And so it gets into some gray area, you know?
What Megan thinks is best for the child and what parents might disagree. And unfortunately, Megan is kind of developed behind the toy company's back, and therefore things were like rushed, and safety locks and security things that could be overridden by Megan, who has access to the internet and stuff. It's pretty
What
interesting.
I really liked about this movie is it didn't just, even though it is honestly just a fun movie, like it asked some questions like, you know, is it okay? Like if you had a toy like this that gave your child everything, would that be the best thing for your kid? It might make them happy, but is it best for their well-being? And it kind of, you know, calls into play a lot of the things that we do for our children, like some of the toys and stuff, and you know, giving our kids excessive screen time and stuff. Like, is it good for them?
That became an ongoing issue since basically the invention of television, where people would just sit their kids in front of that. That's your babysitter, like. And
Megan essentially, you know, she helps like the girl with potty training and stuff, and so it's kind of like, I mean, all parents need a break. I'm a parent, and yes, it is okay to sit your kid in front of SpongeBob for half an hour so you can get a goddamn break. But what if you had a toy like this that took care of everything? Like, you know, potty training and stuff. And like, you know, is that okay? Or is, you know, I think it asks some interesting questions. It's also creepy in the way of like things like Man's Best Friend, where the thing starts to go overboard in its way of protecting. But what I love about Megan specifically is Megan got some sass.
Oh yeah, she's got some
like
character
Megan
to it.
will go with her programming so far, but at one point she's like, yeah, you know, whatever. My new prime like directive is to look out for myself. Like, she's sassy. I like her personality, and I think that's what makes her special in the way that the Child's Play remake was not.
Wasn't it also funny that her and the real Chucky were having like kind of little online battles with each other? Like, I thought that was funny. I think they were tweeting each other or whatever
Chris
it was.
Fawcett says, Megan is my favorite of the year. I have a Megan doll carry with me because of my anxiety. Plus, I got to meet Amy and Violet at a horror convention. That's so cool. The girl who did the physical for her, I can't remember which one she is, but she did such a great job.
Yeah, I don't even refer to that Child's Play remake as Chucky. That's just Buddy Doll, and Megan is superior to Buddy Doll.
But Buddy Doll sucks because he's such a little simp, you know? Like, it's just like his programming, and Megan, like, her programming goes so far, and then she has her own
She ain't a little sad sack, though.
She has her own self-preservation.
Exactly. She ain't trying to be Chucky.
So exciting news I have, because I really enjoyed Megan. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was way more fun than it had any right to be. You know, because it seems like such a familiar premise, but they did it in such a unique way that I thought it really stood out.
Yeah.
But what's exciting about this, so Megan 2 is in the works. And what I'm excited about is they're saying that the next one is going to have a new AI, and Megan will be kind of like the Terminator, as in Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator.
She's so likable, I think they want to kind of make her an anti-hero at this point.
So basically, in the next one, she is going to be protecting her child from a worse AI.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool. Kind of like Terminator 2, you know? And just like Zombie Toon said, she's already become a horror icon, which is so hard to do.
Yeah.
I think the last really big horror icon would be like Freddy Krueger and stuff. I mean, in the 80s we had so many new ones. And now Art's getting there. Sam from Trick or Treat probably would be there if we finally got that fucking sequel. But Megan instantly just became an icon, and I think it's just really cool. And I think a lot of it is just she has her own personality.
Like I said, she's not trying to be Chucky. It's funny that, there's some comparisons there. The Buddy doll was trying to be Chucky. That's one of the
I
reasons why I
feel
hated
like
it.
what makes her so likable is she's like the mean girl from Mean Girls.
Mm-hmm.
But she's this doll.
Yeah.
Like, she's got so much sass.
Yeah, she's her own little thing. And I think that's why people like her and they already want to cheer for her. So I think that's why they're going to go that direction in the sequel. I mean, it got to the point where everyone's just cheering for Jason to kill these kids.
And in the next one, she's going to be an anti-hero where she's protecting against a worse AI. So I think
it's a marketing thing. But I think it's a good idea.
It might even be more popular than this movie. But
We'll see.
This movie was so cool just because it created such a cool horror villain. Mm-hmm. And I think there's so many fun ways they can go with it. And the performances were just great. Mm-hmm. I think we easily sympathized with the characters. And, yeah, I love, Violet, who played the little girl. She was so good. Yeah. And I love Allison Williams. Yeah. She's incredible. I loved her since Get Out. Mm-hmm. So... yeah, Megan was an easy win. One of the few movies I was like, yep, and I'm buying you. I need to see. It's one I've rewatched a few times. It's fun.
We knew that she was an AI getting out of control, but we still, we understood her. Like, she's not even human, but we understood her.
I think what makes her an icon in the way that some things have tried and failed is just like with Jason or Freddy. Like, they're evil, but they're the ones you root for. You like them. I love Jason. I root for Jason. I root for Leatherface. Cool. I root for Freddy.
They're just cool.
And with Megan, she's the star of the show. You root for her.
Yeah, she's cool. And you understand her. You get her. Like, you might not agree with her, but you can understand her.
Yeah, she's rad.
Exactly.
We're running out. Not that one, right?
Not that one. You want to talk about that one? I haven't finished it.
Is there anything else on your list?
No, I don't think so. It's not already on here.
I guess yours is up here. Well, that one, not yet, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll save those two.
Okay.
Okay, so one, I'm sad.
I haven't finished this one. So.
More people haven't watched. This was honestly, for me, this is probably number 2 on my list. I gave this 4 stars. I loved this movie. This was my most surprising movie of the year. It was just dropped on Shudder, which, by the way, guys, it's $5 a month. If you're not subscribed to Shudder, I don't know what to say. You're missing out. You are missing out because I know you guys are horror fans, and Shudder is perfectly catered for horror fans. So definitely do yourself a favor. Get yourself that Shudder. But this was one. Some of the Shudder movies, they can be kind of hit or miss. But I love that they curate films that come from different parts of the world, from different kinds of filmmakers, and we get different kinds of stories. Mm-hmm. We already talked about When Evil Lurks. We talked about some other great movies that have been dropped on there. This was my favorite of last year. This movie did the impossible. It showed me, like I told you guys, like with Good Boy, you watch those movies and you expect to see the same thing over and over again. But with horror, sometimes you get that thing where you're like, I've never seen that. With Attachment, I've never seen that.
I'm only halfway through it, but I really like it so far. So, and I don't think I've even got to the good stuff yet.
Without spoiling it, I love the romance in this. It's so cute.
It is.
You have this girl who's like, kind of like a mall elf, but not really for a mall. She reads kids' stories dressed up as an elf.
At a library.
And so instantly you love her because she's adorable. And she falls in love with this girl who is very sheltered. She's only recently kind of left home. And she comes from a very Hasidic. Hasidic Jews are very, very orthodox, very, very strict, lots of rules. And so she comes from this very religious, strict background with a single mother. And essentially what happened is her mom married a Jewish man. She was not Jewish. Her father was a Hasidic Jew. And then he left her, and he left her in this community where these people who are very, very devoutly Jewish, and she really had to struggle to keep up. And you wonder, like, what happened? Because this woman, the mother she treats her child like a baby.
Very helicopter parent.
Over the top. And you're like, what is wrong with her? So initially you get this sweet love story between these two women. And the girl says, I have to go back home to London because it's a Danish film. I can't remember.
Yeah, and she said that her mom used to be Danish, but when they moved there, when she met her dad, so they still live there. So even though she's been staying with her girlfriend in wherever they've been staying, Danish, she breaks her leg though and has a seizure kind of thing.
So yeah, this girl, she's supposed to go home, and she's so smitten with her new romance with this girl that she's like, "Fuck it, I'm not going home. I'm in love, and I'm happy, and I want to stay with you." And then her health starts to decline, and she's supposed to have seizures, and then she's like, "Okay, I do need to go home," but she doesn't want to go, and then she's like, "Do you want to come with? My mom's kind of crazy. You want to come with?"
And she's like, "Of course."
And the girl's like, "Yeah, of course." So they
lose
get
you.
there, and the mom is insane.
Like, she tried to warn her.
The mom is so weird. She doesn't like, one of the things is like the candle in the bedroom. Like, she lights this candle. She has all these weird rules. She makes a special soup for her daughter. So during the seizure, the girl, the Jewish girl, she breaks her leg. Right, it's that intense of a seizure.
Yeah.
And so she's even more vulnerable and needing of care when she goes home. And the mom like makes her special soup, and she's like, she wants her girlfriend to try it. And the mom's like, "No,
She can't have it. This is
I'll
only-
make her own soup." And you're like, "Bitch, what is your problem?"
No soup for you.
And what's really sweet about this, and what really charmed me about this, and I don't want to keep calling them the girlfriend. So our
Maja.
the girlfriend's Maja.
She's
And-
the library elf.
And the Jewish girl is Leah.
Yeah.
So Leah, the girl who's got a broken leg, and I mean, she's just used to her mom. Like, she knows her mom loves her.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't recognize that some of these things are really, really toxic.
Yeah, she thinks
And Maja, like, she's trying so hard. She's not Jewish. So, if you know anything about Jewish, like, not even Hasidic Jews, but just being Jewish is really, to become Jewish is really hard. If you're not born into it, you really have to go through a lot of study and stuff before you're accepted as Jewish. And Maja tries really hard. She studies, she loves this girl. And she's trying really, really hard to be accepted and to just show love to this girl. But the mom is not having it. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm not going to spoil it for you because I think it's one of the greatest.
I don't know what's happening yet.
It's one of the best twists I've seen in a long time. And I mean, seriously, guys, I'm not a sappy person. My husband can attest to this. I rarely exclaim in emotion. I don't get super I don't jump. I rarely get super scared, and I never cry during movies. But this movie, I won't say I cried, but it did really touch me, and I was greatly moved by this movie. I just found it really, really sweet. And, like, as a mom, and as just, person who's married, like, just this movie really got my heart. And I just thought it was so unique. And it was just something I'd never seen before. So if you missed Attachment, you are missing out.
I'm going to finish it tonight.
It's so good. I think it's probably my second favorite movie of the year. Wayne says new genre, sappy horror. And the funny thing is I feel like that's how I'm billing it. But the movie mostly is really, really tense. You're like, what the fuck is going on? Who should I be afraid for? I like these two main characters. Who should I be afraid for? What's going on with the mom? What is her fucking deal? And it really keeps you on edge. It's mostly a movie that keeps you on edge and is really tense without any big scares until the end. And then when you find out what's going on, it's kind of heartbreaking and it's really awesome.
Yeah, so far I know that stuff's not adding up, and I'm like, well, is the mom crazy or is she right? Like, it's kind of like that.
Mom's intense.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the performance that John Goodman gave in Clovergreen Lane. But unfortunately, that title ruins the ending of that movie. But it's like that. It's like should you listen to them? Should you trust them? What's up?
I can't recommend this movie enough. This is definitely my probably top 2 or 3 favorite movies of the year. This blew me away. I love it.
All right.
I keep telling Danny, finish watching it!
No. Almost.
And the performances are so good and so charming.
Very. It's definitely very romantic, too.
That would be my number 1.
All right, well, let's talk about our number 1s. So I'll go with mine first.
Okay, so this is Danny's number 1, probably my number 3. I think Attachment was probably my number 1.
Now, I didn't give it like a perfect 5-star rating. I don't think I gave any horror movie, sadly, a 5-star rating last year.
It was a rough year for her.
There's a few 2023s.
I gave Attachment a 4 for reference.
There's a couple 2023 movies that I still haven't seen, and I probably will by the time the Oscars are like up and running, and I'm finished with that. But I don't think any of them are going to get that 5 stars this year. This, like I said...
I want to tell Wayne really quick. Attachment is on Shudder.
Yes, check it out on Shudder. So, it was a weird year. Nothing really was super that bad, as we talked about on your channel. But nothing was really super that amazingly good either, sadly, last year. Like, this was my favorite. It's my favorite franchise. I love Deadites.
You cosplayed as Ellie.
I know. I love the character so much that I was Ellie. And I just want to, like, chop you all up in bits and eat you so we can all be together forever. So, this was my favorite. It's probably one of my least favorite in the franchise, but that doesn't say much because I love this franchise so much. And even though Ellie, it might not be the best Evil Dead movie, she is one of the best, if not the best, Deadites.
Right up there with, like, Cheryl.
Like, she is so good. She is such a great Deadite. Like, oh, so cool.
And what I love about this is Alyssa Sutherland, who plays Ellie. She's, I think, 42. She's not that old, but she was told by her agent that she was too old to be acting, and she fired her agent, and then she got this movie, so good for her.
Yeah, she killed it. She stole the show. She is this movie, as far as I'm concerned. Everybody else is good, too, but she is what makes this movie so great for me. She is such a great villain, but also so sympathetic, because there's a part when she's possessed and she's still like, please get my babies to safety. Like, she knows that the evil is going to completely overtake her, and they're going to do horrible, horrible things to her children and her neighbors and everybody else.
That's what I love about Ellie is her husband's walked down on her. She's in a building that's condemned. She has nowhere to go. She's trying to find a place, and she's still being really strong for her kids. Not just her kids, but her little sister. Mm-hmm. Like, Ellie is just really just a cool character, how she's able to hold it together. She's so selfless.
Her little sister, like, shows up almost coming here for help, thinking her big sister has it all figured out, has a family.
Yes, she's Australian.
Yes.
She's awesome.
But, unfortunately, when she gets there, she realized, no, they have to move soon. They're going to have to, like, abandon this building. Her husband already left a year ago, and, like, now, she doesn't have it all together, but she's doing her best. She's holding it together. Unfortunately...
She's not feeling sorry for herself at all. She stays strong by thinking about her children.
But unfortunately for her, this is an Evil Dead movie, and there's a Necronomicon book that gets pulled out, and evil goes after her, and to the elevator, even. And it's just, like, it breaks your heart for what she's going through, but she's also so, like, scary and so just compelling, I love her as a villain, too. Like, oh my god,
to comment on
chills.
what Vicente said, I'm somebody who was born and raised in England. After being horribly bullied, I have my new American accent that I got when I was in grade school. Yeah, so I notice when people try to do American accents badly. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people in this movie are Australian. They do fantastic American accents. Fantastic. Yeah. Or New Zealand. There's a lot of New Zealanders in this too.
We talked about Something in the Barn earlier, and I love that movie, but the accents fall apart on that movie. That's their American family. Only one of them is really American. The rest you can kind of tell pretty badly.
I think Americans take it for granted, but doing an American accent is not as easy. I mean, for me, it's second nature now, but when I first started, it was really hard.
Exactly.
And even now, I still trip up on
and
words.
Even American accents have its own, like, sub-versions of what the American accent is, but still.
This movie for me, I mean, The Evil Dead is such a solid franchise. I think, honestly, it's the most consistent franchise of all of them. And I've always said this with the great franchises. I feel like I love Halloween, but John Carpenter took that baby Michael Myers after the first movie, second movie. He took it to the fire station and it's like, yeah, I don't know how to do this. And it bounced around from foster home to foster home, and some of them did a better job than others. And he's kind of parlayed in and out of that child's life. But then you have other franchises like Child's Play with Don Mancini and David Kirshner, where they're like, no, it's our baby, and we're gonna raise it. And we're parents who make mistakes, but we love our baby, and we're gonna raise it. And Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are the parents of the Evil Dead franchise, and even when they're not writing and directing, they are involved in every single movie. They are producers on this movie, and they love this baby.
They oversee it.
And it's hard to talk about this because, like I said, this franchise is so good. Evil Dead 2 is a fucking masterpiece. It's so rare that I would say a sequel is better than the original, but I think Evil Dead 2 it's so much better than Evil Dead 1, and Evil Dead 1's incredible.
Evil Dead 2 is my favorite movie in general.
And I love Army of Darkness.
Oh, it's so good. But for different reasons.
And I think the Evil Dead from 2013, I think that's even better than the original. I think it's one of the best remakes ever made. I fucking love that movie. Yes. So we're looking at an A+ franchise here. So when I say this is my least favorite of the franchise, that is not a knock.
Yeah, that's what
This is an A- movie for me. When you have a franchise of A+ movies, that's not a knock.
Yeah.
This is my lowest rung of the franchise. I think the things that make it kind of the bottom for me, which again, not a knock.
Yeah.
For me is the kid performances are a little cutesy in places, a little hit or miss.
Like the lines that they kind of like, that's not what a kid that age would probably say in this situation, but whatever.
Some of these situations, the kids should be way more scared than they are, and they go for cutesy instead of authentic, which is fine. It's kind of part of the franchise. Yeah. And some of it has a little bit of that playing to the fandomness. You know, oh, Dead by Dawn, that's a famous line, or this, come get some. Yeah. It has those moments that I feel take you out of the movie to pay to pay fan service. Yeah. That for me is a little bit of a knock. But again, this is an A- movie, guys. I'm not shitting on this movie. I love this movie, but we're comparing it to masterpiece films here. So, I love it. For me, this is my third favorite of the year. And, yeah, it's my least favorite Evil Dead movie, but this franchise is all gold to me. Yeah.
Brandon and Bedlam, I don't really think there's a wrong way to rank it. I think they're all amazing, so you just, at that point, you're just picking the one you like best.
And the maze was fun, too, at Universal Horror Nights.
Oh, yeah, the Evil Dead Rise maze we went to at Horror Nights was... Oh, that was such a good maze. That one and the Chucky maze were really good last year.
I really hate, one of the complaints I've heard about this is people are like, oh, it tries too hard to be woke. I feel like, I feel like it tried in quick succession to give the characters something to characterize them. Yeah. So the little girl is afraid of monsters, so she has this staff called Staffany. It's a little cutesy, but it works because it adds comedy into this movie, which is something that is true to the franchise.
Plus it brings violence later.
We have a teenage daughter who is going to go to our rally. You know what? That's kind of a Gen Z thing. Yeah. That's not unheard of. I know lots of teenagers who are very into,
We have friends with teenagers. Our kid's a teenager. We have friends with other teenagers. These are kind of how the kids are these days. So it's
realistic.
Sorry, that's...
And, the person who plays Danny is a trans actor, but I don't know if the character's supposed to be.
I don't know. They never straight up said anything about it.
They did a fantastic job. I think they were a great actor. I also really liked Danny because you understand, even though my only issue with the 2013 one, it's like, dude, why are you reading that shit out loud? Like, don't be stupid. Right. Danny, one, is a teenage boy. Yep. And Danny finds this record and, it's like...
If I would have found that shit, I would have done the same thing.
Danny knows mom is struggling. And Danny thinks, okay, maybe I can help mom out. If this is worth something... Yeah. I can pull us out of this.
There's an old abandoned bank that was uncovered by an earthquake when they're going out for pizza, and they're kind of in the garage of their apartment building, but underneath there is bank vaults that have been broken open. He finds some weird-looking macabre shit, but I can understand why he would think it was expensive. I can also just be a teenage boy who'd be like, hell yeah, that shit's going on my wall up in my room, because that's just how I am.
Vicente, I agree. I like, when I first heard the term woke, I heard Jordan Peele use it, because he was referencing a song called Get Woke, and he was talking about, Get Out, how it meant, like, being open to and hearing,
waking up to,
being open to the perceptions of other people. And I think that's great. I think it's been kind of misused a lot, where people take anything that's reflecting on social commentary and they're like, oh, well, it's woke. I think just because something's diverse and it's speaking for, diverse voices doesn't mean it's, I don't know. I don't think woke is a dirty word.
No. I think some movies can just try too hard to give you a message, even if it is a good message, and they'll end up giving you a bad movie because they don't care about making a good movie. But that doesn't mean all of them are.
Woke, if we go back to the song that's come from, and the filmmaker who I first heard use it is Jordan Peele. It means just being aware. Aware that there are other perspectives and there are other voices other than your own. I am a white British American woman. I am trying to be woke. I'm going to listen on LGBTQ plus too, but that means listening to other people from different walks of life, whether they are differently able than you, or they're a different color than you, or they're from a different country than you. Being human is such a weird, strange thing, and we all have a different background. And I think being woke is just basically opening up your ears and listening to the stories from people who are different than you, to opening up your perspective. We're
all going through a human experience, but it's a lot different for other people. Just be aware of that. Doesn't mean that their experience is less than yours. It's just different.
And I think we understand so much more about what it is to be human by listening to other stories. I mean, even just in our marriage. You're Native American. I moved here from England. I didn't know any Native American people before I moved here. Yeah. And I don't think you've ever been to another country.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Canada.
So to me, that's what being woke is. It's not a dirty word. It's opening up your eyes and your ears to the stories around you.
Yeah. I understand, some things, that's all they are, is just a message, and they're not giving you a good story in your movies, and that can mean they can suck. But that doesn't mean they're bad because they're woke. They're just bad because they didn't give you a good story.
And as far as that stuff, and people talk about, elevated horror.
Oh, yeah, another thing.
Horror has always been used to be a metaphor for other things about what it is to be human. It's been like that since The Wicker Man in the 70s, and even before then. So that's not a new thing, and it's not a dirty word. And I have a hair in my mouth.
And obviously, there's exceptions. There's some movies that don't fall into that at all. But the genre itself has always been progressive. It's just how it is. They've had strong female leads who kick butt. They have diverse casts, even though it's why are all these random teenagers that have nothing in common hanging out with? But they do, because that's just the way it's
I think the only time I'm offended is when, the South Park thing. Put a woman in it and make her gay. When it's done to make money and not done to tell people's stories.
Yeah. As the last movie we just talked about. They put a woman in it and they made her gay. It was a great movie, so who cares? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you tell a good story, and there should be representation. Write people as people.
And you know what? People are fucking smart. Yes. We know when we're being pandered to.
Exactly.
We know.
And that's, some woke stuff out there is just pandering. So.
When a microphone's finally been given to somebody whose voice hasn't been heard before. But we know the difference.
Anyways, let's get on to your favorite movie. Went on a little
tangent there.
A little tangent. But
my favorite movie of the year?
Yeah.
Is it the last one?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think we have anything else to talk about. Those are the worst.
Did you even have it on yours?
Yeah, it's up there.
Whoa, brah. Okay, so this is my favorite movie of the year, and this is the one I've watched the most this year. Scream 6, dude. I'm a little sad because I gave this only 4 stars. That's my highest rated movie of the year.
I gave it 4 stars.
2023 was disappointing. I had no 5-star movies. I had no 4.5-star movies.
I had one 4.5-star.
I have watched this movie about 5 or 6 times this year, though. I love this movie. I love the soundtrack. I actually really like that Demi Lovato song in it. I listen to that when I'm getting ready in the bathroom. That's exactly me getting ready in the bathroom.
Well, I know, sadly, 5-star horror movies, but I had a 4.5 one, which we just covered. This one's a 4-star from me. Definitely up there. I liked a couple of the ones we talked about a little more than this, but not by much. It's Scream. I loved Scream. I loved the last Scream. I've loved all the Screams to an extent. Scream 4 and 3, a little lower on if I'm ranking them, but not by much. It's a pretty consistent franchise. They've never really jumped the shark. They've never really done anything that was offensively bad. I feel like 3 unfortunately suffered from the fact that they had to quickly rewrite everything because of it had to be changed. And then 4, for me, it was good, but it really, like, when you start from the beginning and you get to the end, nothing really has changed. Like, nobody, the major characters are dead or anything, like, really has changed. It's like, you could technically take it out and it wouldn't have changed anything. I do like it, though.
I actually went into this with really low expectations because, unpopular opinion, if you've seen my channel and my review of Scream 5, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I was really disappointed. I feel like it really pandered to, like, the Easter eggs and nostalgia, and it was really trying hard to win over the audience of the first one. But where it missed the mark is the original Scream movies were like a John Hughes meets a slasher film. Like, they had this atmosphere of a happy, like, teen movie.
But there's a killer on the loose.
You watch Scream 1 and 2, and that's brightly lit like a John Hughes movie. Mm-hmm. It had humor, smart characters like a John Hughes movie, but there's killing. That's what I love about that.
Yeah, little John.
And then Scream 5, it's like, it's super dark, and it's like you're missing the point.
And they got a little, like, mean spirited, but I still like it, though.
Scream 6, it has a lot more color into it. It's unique in that we're in the city, and what I like about this is it's in the city. You know, Jason also took Manhattan, but Jason didn't actually go into New York, whereas this shows a bodega, and it shows people's, like, apartments. It shows you New York.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is really cool. It made me love this core 4 group of characters that I didn't care about that much in Scream 5. I liked Tara. That was it. But I really started to care about these characters here. I'm not a huge Mindy fan, but beyond that, I started to really like the other characters more. The kills are brutal. Brutal.
The people, even, like, however, that's too brutal to the fact people are surviving things they should have definitely been killed from. That's one of my critiques of it, though.
And again, like I said, this is my favorite of the year. That does not mean it's a 5-star movie. I agree with you guys who have complaints. Mm-hmm. I will tell you one of the reasons why I extra special love this, and it holds a special place in my heart, and probably why it's my number 1 in a minute. But as for, I'll address your complaints. Kirby was completely wasted. Mm-hmm. Kirby is really, really, really smart, and yet she doesn't know that somebody has acquired all the evidence from the previous
killings. Yeah, there's a
killings.
few little plot things.
Where the fuck was she in part 5 if she's been following this? That makes zero fucking sense. Yeah. The killer was I won't say predictable because I didn't guess the Gwen part of it.
There's 3.
But I did figure out the cop pretty early on, and I think most of you guys did too.
Yeah.
I don't think Mindy works because the reason why Randy works and Mindy doesn't is Randy is not full of himself. He is confident in his knowledge, and he won't let anyone tell him that he's wrong, but he's not an arrogant person. Mm-hmm. That's what makes him likable, because he's a nerd, so he's not so arrogant. Mindy is way too high on her own supply. Not into Mindy. But, you know, a lot of people are. That's also why I think I like Kirby. Like, Kirby, like, she kind of embraces her dorkness a little bit.
And she also was, like, that unexpected nerd because, like, she's like, no, I know my shit. And they're like, oh, yeah. Well, okay, she does.
She also doesn't talk down to other people like Mindy does.
Kirby wasn't even, like, bragging about her knowing her nerd shit. They questioned her, and she's like, no, I know this.
One of the big problems I have with it is Mindy is stabbed pretty brutally.
And then she just hops around like a kangaroo.
She is literally jumping around at the end of the movie. Like, what the fuck? Like, if stabbing people brutally has no stakes, then what's the point of it? We'll stop caring about these characters if their injuries don't matter.
And Dewey would get really messed up and survive the older movies.
I think he could come back now. I mean, because Chad gets stabbed from both sides repeatedly, and then he's still fine. And what pisses me off about that is, yes, Dewey also survives some pretty brutal stabbings, but, you know, they take off his mask and make him talk and stuff, and he, like, kisses the girl, like, it pushes the limits of believability.
And even Dewey, like, really showed those outfits. Like, and then his next movie, he was barely walking around, where she's already jumping around and it's not even the next movie.
But I will tell you why this is my favorite movie of the year. It's a lot of fun. And I do like that, you know, Scream 2 did that too. Scream 2 had a lot of problems, but it was fun, and sometimes you just wanted to end on a good note. And this ends on a pretty good note. You can end it there. I'm sad we're not going to get a continuation of the story, but it's okay, because I think we did get some kind of conclusion with Sam.
Yeah.
You know? I think Sam's a more interesting character this time around. I like that we don't get as much ghost dad hallucination shit, which is kind of stupid. Mm-hmm. I do really like the way it's filmed with the colors. I love the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack slaps. There's not a lot of pissing time aside from that one part where they're in the park. That part, and they're tracing the call, like, who gives a shit. But beyond that, the movie moves pretty quickly. I really like the opening. We have more ghost faces in this than we've ever had before. Mm-hmm. And that made it a little more interesting, because at this point with Scream, they've done the same formula so many times. We expect there to be 2 killers. But we actually get 2 in the beginning, and then we ended up getting 3 more. So I like that they're changing up the formula.
Yeah, I mean, even four's multiple cold openings just kind of made fun of the fact that they do the same thing every time. So I'm glad that they did something actually really different for this one.
Yeah. I don't like that they have Gail getting punched again. I don't like that Gail, completely forgot everything she learned in the last one. I think Gail was misused, too. But I'll tell you the biggest reason I love this. My son does not like horror movies. I love horror movies. My husband does. I'm very lucky in that respect.
Most of our friends do.
Because we can share that. And we have you guys to share that with. But, I love my son, and I don't get to share that with him. He does not get a lot of horror movies. He doesn't want to see most of them, and when he does, he thinks The Shining's a terrible movie.
He hated it. He gave it 1 star.
He fucking hated it, and it hurts my little horror heart. It's
mostly because of the sound.
As long as I live, I'm going to remember seeing this on opening night, sitting beside my son, and him giddy with excitement, and turning to me like, oh, I wonder if it's so-and-so, and me like, oh, I wonder if it's so-and-so, and just having so much fun, having him jump at the right moments, having him laugh at the right moments, and leaving with big smiles on both our faces. So that's why this is my favorite movie of the year. Probably a really biased opinion, and probably not the one you guys want to hear.
I have a big old smile on my face. I looked a little long in the mouth because I was dressed like Ghostface. But it was a great time. I liked seeing 5 in the theater too. We've seen every
5 was
I did. You did. I know you didn't. I remember we were coming back from.
I've come around to it a bit.
Yeah, but we've seen every Scream movie in the theater, and I mean, since we've been together, anyways.
But I agree with you guys. It has a lot of flaws. Like I said, I gave this 4 stars. I'm sad that my best movie of the year was 4 stars. It has flaws, but I will say, of all the movies we've listed, it has the most rewatchability. I've rewatched this movie so much. I can put this movie on while I'm editing, while I'm working, and it's still a lot of fun. I enjoy it every single time. I think the cast is great. It's just a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'm sad I liked it definitely enough to be really sad that they're just dropping the ball so hard on the next one.
I'm sad about that.
Sounds like it's not even going to come out at this point.
I'm boycotting Scream 7. They can go suck a balls.
Yeah, as we were talking about the studio, it wasn't necessarily.
I think it's stupid that they fired Bersa Barrera for having an opinion, and I think that's stupid. I'm not going to watch Scream 7, but this one was fun, and I feel like it was kind of back to where Scream should be. Scream should have fun. Scream 5 took itself a little too seriously, in my opinion.
Yeah, I had complaints with that, too. I liked it, but it didn't do anything perfect as well.
But I really liked this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it's very, very rewatchable.
Yep. So, anyways, you've been telling us all your favorites in that. I appreciate it.
Mr. Flixer, I didn't see Pet Sematary Bloodlines, but should I? I heard it was terrible.
I haven't watched it yet myself. I hear it's awful.
I've heard it's bad.
I'm going to watch it because we need to know what the worst of is for the Oscars as well.
When we were younger, we would literally watch every single horror movie ever. We would pride ourselves on watching 400 movies a year, and now that I'm getting older and I'm trying to write a book this year, I'm just yeah, everyone says it sucks. I'm skipping it.
Between working on making movies and doing all kinds of other side projects and just other things that are going on in our life, I haven't had as much time to watch as many horror movies as I possibly can. But also, as I mentioned, none of the movies, they've all been pretty average this year. That has also demotivated me to watch so many of them. Usually when there's just tons of sometimes nonsense bad that is fun to watch, or just some really good movies, that gets me really motivated, where it's been pretty subpar.
It's
overall,
a rough year.
most of our movies were like,
I think,
for me, were 3 stars. I mostly gave
I'm gonna
everything
say
3 stars.
my biggest surprise of the year was Attachment. It's on Shudder. Please see it. Most fun, most rewatchable movie of the year was Scream 6, followed by Megan for me. And, best, actual quality. Also, Evil Dead Rise. I've watched that 3 times too. That's very rewatchable.
Mm-hmm.
Do I understand they have flaws? Yes.
Yeah.
But I love them.
Suitable Flesh is now on Shudder. So definitely, if you got Shudder, go check out Suitable Flesh. That's definitely one of the...
And Good Boy was also a really good one that you can rent on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So yeah. It was a rough year, but there were a lot of movies that were really good, and definitely to check out.
And with the whole Monarch TV show and the Godzilla movies we've been getting, I really liked -1. I thought that was a breath.
-1 was really good.
A fresh
really
breath of atomic blast that we needed. So good job, -1.
So yeah, this was a long ass fucking stream, but we did it this way because we wanted to talk about every single fucking horror movie we've watched.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to know what were the worst movies we saw, you can check out my stream over on my channel. And if you want to hear about all the good ones, the 3 stars and up are on this one.
And if you're not watching this live, definitely let me know in the comments what your favorite movies were this year. Also, hit me up on my social medias for Horror Addicts, either Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Horror Addicts, hit me up on those and give me your nominations for the Oscars. Best Actress, Best Actor, Best Director, Best Soundtrack, Best Score, Best Creature, Best Killer, Best Final Girl. You know the deal. It's the thing we do every year. So hit me up with those because I'm going to be doing the voting really soon. So get them in quick. Alright, anyways, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. We love horror. We love you that love horror as well. We're all horror addicts here. Thanks for watching this and letting us appreciate what we got. Because even if it was a little bit of a subpar year, we're always thankful for what horror we get. So.
Awesome hanging out with you guys. This is a long stream, but Wayne Turner, Mr. Flickster, Brandon the Beldum, Vicente, all of you guys who've been hanging out with us for the long run, thank you so much. It's been fun hanging out with you guys, and I have been reading every single one of your comments. So even though I don't highlight every single one of them or comment on them, I really appreciate your interaction.
We didn't talk about a lot of them because this was a long enough stream as it is, but we were reading them, and we do really appreciate you, and we agree with a lot of the things you were saying. All right, so cut.